everybody, and welcome to another episode of the C Podcast featuring Hex and Shin. As always, my name is Shogun Shin, and I'm joined by my co-host Hex Ginkgo. And Hex, I have a fun little game that we are going to play today.
Alrighty.
All right. So, do you know what a rebus puzzle is?
No. No.
Okay. A rebus puzzle is essentially a image. It's some sort of image that depicts a word or phrase, and the whole puzzle is you have to figure out what phrase the image is depicting. Okay?
Okay.
So
I am super fucking bad at these.
Good. That is exactly what I'm hoping for, because I've collected a couple of them. I do have some more, but I've collected like 10 of them so far. And I'll throw these up on stream as well, so that way people watching can look at these. But you and I are going to look at these. I'll post them in the Discord as well, so that way you can see them in our podcast channel. But I'll post these on stream and on the channel, so that way you can see them. And you and I don't. So some of for these first like 3, I already know the answers for. But everything after that, I have no answers for, because I have no idea what they are. So
Already.
You and I are gonna figure these out together.
Oh, God,
to the best of our abilities. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first one. All right. I know what this one is. I know this one. So that's the first one.
Oh, God.
Okay.
This is more complicated than the ones that I just looked up.
Yeah. Yeah, these are pretty hard. Like, some of these, like, this one I had to look the answer up for, because I was like, I have no idea what this means.
Okay.
But I do know the answer for this one.
B1 through 5.
Whoops.
DNATS. This, I'm not gonna be able to get this one. There's absolutely no way.
All right, this is stand up and be counted.
I don't even know. I would not have been able to get that.
Yeah.
Stand up
and be counted.
That nope. I didn't even know that was an expression.
Yeah. This
to
one,
be honest.
this one might be a little bit easier. This one is definitely an expression. So this is the next one. Hold on, I have to do both in the. I have to throw it up on stream and then also put it in Discord. So this is the next one. Okay.
Okay.
I also know this one. This one I didn't
Back
get.
to square
but
one.
Yeah, back to square one. I didn't get this one. This one confused me. I thought it was like a flip thing, but yeah, it's back to square one.
I actually got one.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
All right. So those are the only 2 I know. Everything else, I have no idea what they are. I do have the answers though.
Well.
I do have the answers, so I can look them up. I don't know what this is.
Okay.
So this one, I'm pretty fucking lost on. I'll be honest.
10JQKA.
J, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K. Wait, so...
See, the problem with these is that it's a lot of internal
Yeah, it's a lot...
computing. So, it's just 2 idiots that are just like, what? Oh, fuck. All right, so I don't know if it's something in regards to the J and the K over,
It has to be,
like
right?
above the 10
It has to.
QA.
It has to be something with the placements of the J and the K. Maybe it's a. It could be a word.
Oh, God.
10. J. But those are consonants, and those don't make any sense. A. JK.
Oh,
So
I know what it is.
what?
It's a poker deck.
A poker? What do you mean?
10 Jack Queen King Ace.
Oh.
So flush, royal flush. I don't know. I don't
Oh.
know
Oh.
that.
No, you're wrong. I just looked up the answer.
What is it?
You're
Or is
you're
it-
on the right track though. You are on the right track of Jack Queen King Ace. You're on the right track. It's hijacking.
High Jack King.
Yeah, they're higher.
Oh, okay.
Hijacking.
Oh.
You're on the right track, but it's
All right. Yeah. That. Oh boy.
you
All
got
right.
that was good though. You got close. I wouldn't have gotten that one. I would not have gotten there, but you were on the right track though. Looking at it, I saw the answer. I was like, "Oh yeah, you were definitely on the right track though." All right, this is the next one.
No good. Well. No good TV. Nothing good
I think it's
on TV.
Yeah, I think it's nothing good on TV. And nothing good on television. Yeah, nothing good
Okay.
on TV. Yeah, this one. All right, so this one is. I saw this one and I was like, "What does this mean?" It's hard because I have to put it in Discord
cool.
and then also put it on stream, and it's just like, oh god. All right. I don't know what this is.
Corner. IAN. Binary. No. Okay, so it might have something to do with the corners.
Yeah.
Specifically, it
core. IN. See, I was thinking like in the far corners, but that doesn't make too much sense. A. In. Or I think it could be. See, I'm wondering if it's like hijacking, where it's like rather than being in the corners, they're above, or like they're elevated somehow. And upper right.
What are these called? What kind of puzzles are these?
Rebus puzzles.
Rebus.
Rebus. Rebus puzzle.
Wait. Okay, so it's brain.
Okay, yeah. So BRAI. Okay. But what does But then why is A? Why are like? I got nothing on this one. Oh, this is stupid. I know this was dumb.
All right, what
this
is this
It's
one?
scatterbrained.
Scatterbrained?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's
Nope.
the letters
Wouldn't
are
have got that
all
one.
the letters are all scattered around. All right, this one is. I hope this one actually. I hope people. Can
I
see.
already suck at like play on words things, and then it's like a visual gag. Ugh.
All right, this one I have to blow up a little bit because it's literally just this is just the image itself.
99 issues.
It honestly, I think it could be, but I genuinely don't know.
A host of issues.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10.
It's 10 issues. 10 issues side by side. The cropping doesn't matter. It's just the issues part that matters. It was just because I took a screenshot. And I had to crop it. 99 issues is not a bad idea, but I feel like there would be some sort of indicator for the number, especially if it was 99. 10 issues. Oh, is it tissues?
Tissues.
10 issues, tissues?
God, I hate that
no,
stuff.
it's not. It's not. Fuck. It's tennis shoes. 10 issues. 10 issues.
Oh my god. These are not fun. I don't like that. I don't like it. 10 issues. 10
issues. You ever play
issues.
do you know the game Mad Gab? You ever play that?
I know of it,
We had to,
but I
like-
was too dumb to play it.
Yeah, it's like you have give you like a phrase and then you have to like figure out what it's like a mash of words and you have to figure out what the phrase is.
Dude, I couldn't even do Mad Libs, alright? I didn't know...
Was your vocabulary not large enough for Mad Libs?
No, I actually have I have like a decent vocabulary. Like I had to read the dictionary when I was a kid. My grandpa made me do it all the time. But like my education when I was really young was very different from a lot of people, so I didn't know what an adjective was, what an adverb was, like and places that they would go in. I didn't know how to appropriately use a lot of those words, so I was really fucking bad at them.
That's awkward. To be fair, I don't remember what an adverb is anyways, so.
I can't tell you. Like, if you're like, say an adjective, I'd be like, adjective.
No, say adjective, not adjective.
Yeah.
Adjective is
Yeah,
an
a
adjective
word
is any
describing
word that
a-
describes something.
Yeah. See, but I can't tell you that off the top of my... I can't tell you the definition of that off the top of my head. Like, that's what bothers me.
What does adverb mean?
An
An adverb
is
is
describing an action?
verb
Because
or
a verb
phrase
is
that
an action?
modifies or qualifies an adjective, verb, or other adverb.
Gently, quite, then, there,
Okay.
time, place, circumstance, manner, cause, degree.
So like gently hit or okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. It's your ly words typically. Right.
But still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tantamount? 10 mount?
Yeah, tantamount's pretty good.
Mountaintop?
Oh, mountain.
Mountaintop?
Mountaintop, yeah. Oh, no, it's just mountain. Mount 10. So it's just mountain. But yeah, mountaintop, that's not bad. That's a good one. But yeah, it's just mountain. Alright, this next one. This one confuses me. I saw this one and I was like, what does this fucking mean? Yeah, so this is the next one.
Stands above one?
Uh,
Stands above no one?
Oh. Yeah, I think you're stands above no one. I think you're right. No. Nope.
No?
Nope. You're close. You're close though. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. It's no one understands.
Oh, okay.
You had, yeah,
I just flipped
again
it.
on the right track, but not. Yeah. All right.
See, I focus on the top part too much.
All right. This is the next one. I got this idea for the podcast because I saw on TikTok some people were doing a game for this, and I was like, these are pretty cool, but these are also really easy. So I deliberately looked up hard ones. I looked up hard ones. Alright. So it's Horribod. Backwards is Dob Oro. Those aren't words.
Oh. I don't like this.
Do you know it?
Uh-huh.
I feel like you're better at these than I am, because I don't think I've figured out any of these.
It's Robin Hood.
Really?
Rob in Hood.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Yep. It's Robin Hood. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Fuck. Yeah, you're definitely a lot better at these than I am, because I've not gotten a single one of these.
I'm getting, I'm kind of getting close on some of them.
Yeah, you're getting really close on a few of them. I have not gotten, like, a single one of these.
It was the only one that made no fucking sense to me was that first one. God.
All right.
Four.
So there's 1, 2, 4 gods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
So
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hero. 4. Oh, Forgotten Hero.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Forgotten Heroes. It's plural.
10 heroes, 4 gods.
Yeah. Alright. This can be the last one. So, hold on, I have to save that. Put that there. There we go. Alright. This image depicts one word. From what the caption says, at least. What one word does below Rebus identify? So, what one word does this image identify? I was gonna say Snake Eyes, but Snake Eyes is 2 words. So I don't think that's right.
I mean, there's a pair.
There's 3 pairs.
Also, this is impossible. This combination of dice doesn't work.
It doesn't?
The 5 and the 2 are on opposite sides.
But why wouldn't it work, though?
I'm just saying these dice are impossible, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe.
Because it's the opposing sides on a dice are always equal to 7, so 3 and 4, 5 and 2, and 1 and 6.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think I ever knew that, actually. Interesting. Huh. Okay.
I mean, altogether it adds up to 8, so it's 16.
Chad says the dice are not dice. Okay. But that doesn't...
The dice are not dice.
See, the fact that you'd think that it'd be easier because it depicts one word, but like I don't know what that one word would be.
Stupid. Hmm.
Seen this past, but that's in French. Chat speaking in French now, so that's cool. So that so that's 16 total. Six. Yeah, I got nothing on this one.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a paradise.
Oh,
it's paradise. It's a paradise.
Ah.
My brain hurts now.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that was my fun little game.
Oh boy. Lordy.
Yep.
I don't like these.
Yeah. I mean, they're cool.
They're interesting though.
They're cool, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, they just showcase how dumb I am. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it just makes me feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
In a good way though. Oh, excuse me. Oh, so I don't know if you have at all kept up with Halo since you stopped playing a long time ago.
No.
Infinite specifically?
No.
Okay. So when you and I were playing it, or we jumped in on basically on the beta.
Yes.
Which was season 0. That was like the Heroes of Reach or whatever. So they're only at season 2 now. It was over a year ago, and they've only made it to season 2 because it had a bunch of delays. They completely scrapped split screen co-op recently. They're just like, yeah, we're not doing it anymore.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Completely gone. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. They delayed season 3 again for like the 4th time, and they like have decided, they're like, all right, so we are hard releasing Forge on sometime in November, I think. There's no way that's going to happen because as well, the 343 Industries boss just quit.
Oh, is that what I saw on Twitter?
Yeah,
because I saw that someone
Bobby. God.
Someone just left. Because they posted on Twitter saying they had to leave for, like family medical issues. I think,
Bonnie Ross.
Like that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's, and I believe they're also adding a battle royale, which is something that I really don't think that they should do.
Cool, I guess.
But it always helps a game. It just sucks because that's the only time, like once a battle royale is added to a game, that's the only thing that it's about anymore.
Yeah.
You know, Call of Duty did that. And Fortnite wasn't even a battle royale game when it first came out.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So like, it's really sad that like I really liked Infinite. As lacking as it was in features and playlists and all of this stuff, it was really fun, but from the sounds of it, it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
And so I also don't know if you heard about Ubisoft's like whole Assassin's Creed announcement thing.
Vaguely, I know that there like is one. There's a new one coming out.
Okay, yeah. So
I don't know
so they're
anything else.
So it's called Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Okay.
And I think there's like a service now. Or like not a storefront, but like a hub, I guess, that they're developing called, I think, Assassin's Creed Beyond. I could be wrong about that.
Okay.
But they're also doing like a Japanese game, which would be awesome. But I like, in all honesty, I've really liked Assassin's Creed for a really long time, and you have gotten to like work on some kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Because you played Valhalla, right?
No.
No, you didn't play Valhalla.
So
oh, okay.
I did a little bit of demoing work for Valhalla when they were like when they were in like the promotional stages for Valhalla. I did a little bit of like demoing work and stuff like that. But I have not actually like played the game.
Well, I mean, you've experienced some of it.
Yeah, Esprit actually has. She got me into working for Ubisoft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, Esprit, if you want to join the call, feel free to join in, since you would have more experience.
Somebody who has more experience of it.
For this stuff.
It's really interesting. Like I am a big Assassin's Creed fan, but I haven't played them in a while. Like I got Origins and Odyssey, and I didn't touch
the last Assassin's
Valhalla.
Creed game I think I played was Rogue, or
I own that one and I didn't play it.
I think Syndicate. I think that's the one with the
Syndicate,
twins.
great. Yeah, Syndicate was really good.
Hello.
But
Joined.
Hello. So they did this whole showcase with Mirage, and there was like a cinematic trailer, and there was like no gameplay or anything. But that's kind of par for the course, huh?
I've yet to actually see it. I've only heard the announcements and every single one that's been going on, but.
I only saw clips from the actual trailer. I haven't sat down to watch it myself, but it does seem interesting in that it seems to be going more back to the original style, because it's got like the traditional white robes and all of that. So it's ticking a lot of boxes in my head. But apparently, it was rated by the ESRB already, which seems weird, because that would imply that it's a lot further along than.
That's very possible. Just think back to a couple years ago when they announced. It was shortly after Origins released. Then that E3, they were like, guess what? We have Odyssey all ready to go.
Damn.
And they literally released it like,
wow,
very, very, very shortly after that.
Well, the rating for Mirage was adults only.
Oh.
Wait, what? Really?
That'll be interesting.
Wait, what?
Or maybe.
No way.
Okay. I want to double check this. I don't want to get this wrong.
Adult only game ratings are like very few and far between.
So
there are only 27 released games.
Adults only.
Yep.
Oh.
Based on real world, or maybe not real world, but realistic gambling.
Interesting.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
that might be Europe then. Because I know Europe has a lot more strict laws surrounding that.
I'll be honest, I'm significantly less interested now. I'll be honest.
It says ESRB, which is the North American rating service, because PEGI is...
Yeah, PEGI is Europe.
I see.
Yeah.
Is Europe.
It appeared first that the ESRB rating was due to real gambling, which was listed along with intense violence, blood and gore, sexual themes, partial nudity, and indicated the inclusion of loot boxes. A blast from the past, if true, and extremely surprising given Ubisoft's return to the series' roots. Ubisoft has since clarified that this is an error though where it stems from is a mystery. Eurogamer received an update from the French game company that dispels any notions of loot boxes.
Interesting. And that's actually interesting that because it depicts real world gambling, it gets the adult only rating, considering the fact that Grand Theft Auto
Well, it could be the violence and nudity as well.
Yeah, it could be all the
yeah.
things compounding on top of one
Yeah.
another, but like I
Yeah.
mean Grand Theft Auto is that exact same thing.
But here's the
like,
thing: is that Grand Theft Auto is rated M, which apparently it's rated M because of that content, the gambling, or at least I think if I'm understanding this correctly on Wikipedia, the gambling aspect was patched out of the game. Therefore, it was brought down to being matured then.
Well, it also might be trying to set a precedent going forward. Is like, hey, we're going to be more strict on this in this specific case, even though, like, something could be said about, I mean, more things could be said about Counter-Strike or Overwatch and all of this other stuff, that while you are paying money for loot boxes, you're not, like, able to resell them in Overwatch or some of these other games. It is like I wonder how they're critiquing the loot box scenario that may or may not be in Mirage.
I mean, also,
because is there a multiplayer aspect of it? Is it a single player only experience? Like what is the reason for the crackdown on it?
Yeah. I mean, also with video game ratings in general, video game ratings are very, like, they're very, the lines of where things fall in their ratings are very loose. Like, I'm looking at Wikipedia here and seeing just what the descriptors for so there are 27 adults only rated video games currently. The one that the most recent were 3 of them that were released in 2015.
Really?
Yeah. So 2 of them had nudity, strong language, strong sexual content. 2 of them had those. One of them only had it was rated A, adults only, but it was rated but it had blood and gore, intense violence, and strong language. And those were the ESRB content descriptors of why it was rated adults only.
I remember Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, that game, by the way, it was Hatred, which
I bought
remember,
that game.
Yeah, that game I remember had a lot of controversy around it because it was literally a guy leaving his home and then just going on a killing spree.
It's not even good.
It was, yeah.
I got it because it was like $2, and I remember, like, I was like, hey, this made a lot of headlines. I was like, is this even a game that's worth, like, playing? Is there like a message that they're trying to convey? No. It's
the game.
just
the game itself. I don't think had a
porn.
message. It was really just like the idea of making a game like this. That was really the biggest thing. Apparently, Manhunt 2. Yeah, Manhunt 2 Uncut apparently also has an adults only rating, which surprises me a little bit.
You can't even find that game.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find.
Yeah, and then
God, Hillary Clinton was one of the people that was she wrote a letter to the ESRB concerning their rating of the game as mature.
Okay. I ended up looking on a different article. Seems the actual adults only rating was a mistake. It's suspected that it's just going to be mature, like usual.
Boo,
Okay.
Lame.
I mean,
Megan,
I'm
adults
just
only
glad that-
Ubisoft.
The way that the other article I had
Double down.
pulled up said it made it seem like the spokesperson only said that the loot boxes were the mistake rather than the rating as a whole. But
Makes sense.
I mean, I hope that will make these game companies at least a little wary going forward.
Let's be honest.
Because-
though, like, what? Let's be real though. Like, we have the ESRB, right, to rate video games, so that way people buy video games, they know or have some idea of what content is in them.
I think it's more to keep children from
it's more to
buying
keep
things they
But
shouldn't.
like, who, like, does that really stop anyone? Let's be real here. Let's be honest.
Yes and no. Like, I've known people who have worked at places like GameStop, among other things, like people having their own shops and whatnot. And there were some kids who thought they could sneak stuff through without their parents realizing it. Until the clerk actually sat down and explained, like, this is what this rating means.
Yeah, I remember there was it was like a Tumblr post, and it was someone posting that they used to work at GameStop, and it was when Saints Row 4, I think it was Saints Row the Third came out. It was Saints Row the Third or 4, and they were saying that, like, a kid tried to sneak in, like mom brought their kid into GameStop. Kid was trying to buy Saints Row. It's rated M, and the employee is like, "Ma'am, do you know that your 10-year-old child is trying to buy a rated M game?" And the mom's like, "Yeah, it's fine, whatever." And the employee had to be like, "No, ma'am, do you know that, like, there's a dildo bat in this game?" And then they had to go and explain what a dildo bat was to the mom, in order to convince them to not buy the game for their 10-year-old child.
That's the best weapon in the game.
It is, but not for 10-year-old children.
No. I mean, my dad, I actually
responsibly.
I actually had an interaction with my dad when I think I was 17 at the time. Like, I was in high school, and all of my friends were getting Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, I need you here. Like, I have the money. I just need you to come with me so I can buy this fucking game."
Wait, but if you're 17, you can buy rated M games. Yes.
I might have been. Well, I might have been 16.
You would have had to be 16. There's no way. Because I remember, I'm 28. All right, I'm 28. I know for a fact that when I'll say this now when I'm 28, I'll say it when I'm 50, I'll say it when I'm fucking 70. The best years of my life was when I turned 16, 17, and 18. Because those were the years I could drive, those were the years that I could buy rated M video games, and those are the years that I could vote. Those are the best years of my life.
My family
so
forgot about my 18th
confused.
birthday.
Awesome.
I'm almost positive it was Black Ops 2.
Black Ops come out?
November 13th, 2012. Hold on a second.
2012, I was 18.
Maybe it was OG Black Ops.
Yeah, I was 18 when OG Black Ops came out.
You just danced with the soy sauce, so
Yeah.
like that dancing. Appreciate it.
Why is this so
Yeah.
frustrating to open?
So, going back to the topic of adults-only video games.
You get me,
real quick, though. So, Grand Theft Auto originally was rated adults only. And then, or was
the OG one?
This is San Andreas specifically. So San Andreas, I'm looking on Wikipedia. It shows a list of games that originally received the adults only rating, but then they were released with something lower than that, typically with rated M, or typically mature. So San Andreas was one of them, though, that originally was rated adults only. And it says here in the notes that it was originally rated M. San Andreas was temporarily re-rated adults only following the discovery of an incomplete hot coffee minigame that could be enabled with a mod or cheating device which featured characters engaging in sexual intercourse. Its rating was changed back to M after Rockstar released a patch that removes the offending content entirely. So that would explain why. Grand Theft Auto was originally rated adults only, but I'm pretty sure that GTA 5 also depicts gambling, but I guess it's not like real world gambling. It's like it's a weird loophole.
I think the idea is that you are not actually partaking in spending your own money.
Yeah, you're spending fake real money.
And, like, I mean, for example, I know that in Valhalla there's, like, many different little mini games that you can play throughout the game. It's very possible there might be, like, one considered gambling in Mirage, perhaps. And that could be what they were catching up on to as gambling rather than like loot boxes or whatever.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Valhalla, though, I will say that one of my favorite things when I worked for Ubisoft, when I did demoing for them, one of my favorite things to tell, so like my job for Ubisoft was, for the demoing part, was we would be paired with like some sort of press person, and my job was to, you know, explain the game to them, show them kind of all the different features, let them explore, guide them if they need to, but typically like you let them do with their own stuff, but then also kind of like be like, hey, like there's like these really cool things that you can go check out over here, or you can go like do this stuff. And one of my favorite things for Valhalla was, I can't remember what the actual like thing was called in the game.
Was it the rap battle?
It was the rap battles, yeah. But so there were these rap battles that you can do in Valhalla, and literally how I would describe them was like, yeah, we have these events in game that you can like challenge people. And the best way that I can describe them is they're just ye old rap battles, and every single time someone would be like, that sounds awesome, let's go do that. And I'm like, absolutely, you go this way now. I did it every single time.
It's called flighting.
Yeah, that's it, flighting. I was just like, yeah, just you want to go do a ye old rap battle? I can point you in that direction. They're like, yeah, let's go do that. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. I also remember there was one person that so sometimes because it was virtual for our like meetups, I guess, because it was virtual, sometimes us as demos had to play the game instead, and the other person would just watch and stuff like that. And one of the times I did that once for one of the clients, and it was actually really funny because like I remember going through and like doing all the stuff, all like the standard activities of like, oh yeah, these are like the major things that we have to, you know, show or like hit to show them like almost everything that's in the game. And then like if we have any remaining time
left,
the
demo.
Or then in the demo, yeah. If you had any time left, then here are some like extra things that you can go do. But these are like really difficult, so that's why you do these last, because they're really challenging and stuff like that. And I remember like I went through all the normal stuff, and we still had time left over, and I'm like, you know, we also have like some raid, like some really challenging bosses in the demo too. If you want me to like check those out. And the dude's like, yeah, like let's go do that. I'm like, yeah, sure. Here there are like 3 of them, so we'll they're really challenging, so like we'll just do probably just one, and then we'll call it there. I remember one-shot the boss, and I'm like, in my defense, I've played this game a decent amount already, so like, and I've played this boss a decent amount, so like it's much harder than it looks. And it's like we'll go to the second one. Went to the second one, one-shot that one again by accident, and I'm like, you know what, the gear that I had was pretty legit. Like I did extra damage. This was like an earlier like final boss. Like it's fine. We'll go to the last one. The last one got close. I almost died, but I also completely one shot all 3 raid bosses. And I'm like, I don't have any more reasonings. I'm out of excuses at this point.
I don't think those were really just raid bosses. I think they're just more.
They were
difficult.
Yeah, they were more so like just really challenging for the area. But like I just remember one shotting all 3 of them, and I was just like, I'm out of excuses now. I have nothing left. I swear they're they're very, very difficult. I don't know, man. He's like, no, I believe you. I totally get it. You've played this game for much longer than I have, and at this point, this was like the last day of the event. I'd already done the demo like at least 10, 20 times.
You'd played like 15 hours of it already.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I knew everything from top to bottom already, and I'm like, yeah. You know, it was just like so awkward though to like watch me, like I was like hyping everything up, and then just one shot it easy and be like, God damn it, fuck me.
There are more AO games than I thought.
Yeah, right?
And also less.
Yeah.
At the same time. Like,
I do like
that. There are games that got an AO rating that I knew about that got changed, but there are ones that I didn't know had an AO rating.
I definitely didn't know that Outlast 2, Manhunt 2, and the Punisher.
I knew Manhunt.
Surprisingly, I didn't know those ones got those original AOs.
The Punisher game is actually really interesting. I don't know if it's specifically. So the Punisher game has like these like brutal takedowns or whatever, and when you're like killing somebody, then it cuts to black and white, so that it like hides the gore and stuff.
That's cute.
So, but I don't know if it's just the North American region or if it's in that the PAL version didn't censor it, or if it was just a patch that somebody created later, or like overwrote the code. But it does actually. There is a version of the game that you can play that doesn't have the black and white in it. I don't know about Fahrenheit, which a lot of people really like. I didn't know that was a thing.
I remember when I was younger, I had a friend that their parents were very like anti-video game. And so when I became friends with them, because I am very pro video game, what I would do is typically when I went over to their house, because they lived in my neighborhood, I would literally bike to their house and I would carry my game system on my back, like in a bag, and I'd bike all the way to their house. I'd set it up and we'd play video games at their house. And I remember eventually like their parents got more lenient about video games, but they were very like no gore, no blood, no violence whatsoever. Like Mario Party was like the most violent video game that we were allowed to play.
Damn.
And I remember
what?
What was it? It was Mortal Kombat, I think Deadly Alliance on the GameCube. I remember I got a copy of that, and obviously my friend's parents, they knew Mortal Kombat, obviously. And at first they were like super against it, but then but the argument that we had for them was, no, it's okay, because their argument was you can't play Mortal Kombat because it's too gory and there's too much blood. And our argument was, but look, there's a setting in the game that literally turns the blood off, so there's no gore whatsoever. And I remember my friend's parents just being like, you know what? That's fair enough. Okay, have fun. And we're just like, all right, cool. Let's go play Mortal Kombat now.
You should have just played DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Honestly, I played that too.
That game sucks.
That's not a good game. Yeah, I was gonna say that's not a good game, like at all. It's a terrible, terrible game. Speaking of old games, though, I went down a rabbit hole last night. No, 2 nights ago. I went down a rabbit hole 2 nights ago, where I was just like, you know what? I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what game I miss? Fucking SSX. I miss that game.
SSX is great.
Yeah, and then I was like, what is that? What happened with SSX? And I watched I watched like 2 hours worth of like retrospective of the rise and fall of SSX and what happened to it. To which I also looked up online. So the OG SSX, SSX Tricky, and SSX3 all did very well on Metacritic, apparently. If you look them up on Metacritic, I think they are like high 80s, low to mid 90s, I think. And then you look up the 2012 version of SSX, and critically it did okay. It got an 82. User score 6.4. People did not.
I actually really liked it.
I didn't mind it.
I played it a lot.
Yeah, I didn't mind it a lot either.
I played it with my friends all the time.
Yeah, I didn't mind it all that much either, to be perfectly honest. But I definitely remember playing the shit out of Tricky. SSX Tricky was like the best game in the world. And then I also remember playing a shit ton of SSX 3, I believe.
I see. Okay, so a while ago, Xavier and I, like a year or two ago, Xavier and I actually got a bunch of. We got, I think, all of the Tony Hawk games and then all of the SSX games, and we never actually got around to playing the SSX games because we got really burned out on Tony Hawk.
That is fair enough. Dude, I love.
Not that they were bad.
So good.
It was just, yeah. I would love to go back to those, and I would love if, because who made those?
EA.
Oh,
Big.
no.
EA Sports.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I would really like if they went back to it,
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah, like they won't. Is the problem.
I don't want EA to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want
It
EA
won't
to
be-
make
it wouldn't be
games
good.
anymore.
It wouldn't be good.
Well,
It
they're
would
making a
just be sad.
freaking they're making a Skate 4, and it's gonna be a live service game,
Gross.
and that's really disappointing. Like really disappointing. Boy, oh boy. So SSX Tricky. What was On Tour?
On Tour was it was an okay game. It was the first game that like allows you to create your own character.
I don't even remember
and then
that
like
game.
it also allowed you to do skiing as well. It incorporated skiing as well in the in like the challenges and whatnot.
I never picked that up. Mostly because I didn't know it existed.
It was pretty under the radar, honestly. Like the hype kind of On Tour. Unfortunately, like after 3 On Tour and 2012 SSX, the hype started to like die down a lot more on snowboarding.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff.
That sucks.
Right, we gotta check. Okay, so tell me more
Yeah.
about Assassin's Creed Mirage and whatnot. Besides the fact that
Okay.
it has an adults only rating.
Well, yeah. So, I'm having a hard time deciding whether or not to be excited because I completely skipped Valhalla, because of mostly the negative reviews that it was garnering at the outset, but I don't know if it actually like ticked up later on, and I don't know how Ubisoft has handled much of its how they've handled the development and like expansions, because I know that there have been some outside
As
of
far as
that.
I'm aware, Ragnarok was released as a separate game.
Oh, really?
At least that's what I was told recently. I have not checked up on it myself, so I definitely recommend doing that.
Dawn of Ragnarok.
So it looks like Dawn of Ragnarok got a 71 on Metacritic score, and a 6.3 user score. So that's not the greatest thing in the world. Valhalla did okay for the most part. Like base Valhalla, 84 critic, 7.7 user score. So that's not the worst thing in the world. Wrath of the Druids, people did not like Wrath of the Druids. 70 critic score, 4.6 user score.
Ooh.
So Wrath of the Druids was not received well, from what it seems like. I'm looking on for PS5 though, so that might be different on PS4. I doubt it though.
I mean, one of the other big points of contention for these Assassin's Creed games is their like big ultimate bundle is just really expensive. And granted, it's like it comes with a season pass and it comes with all of these extra things, and most of those extra things don't really mean much to the overall gameplay, because for the most part they tend to be like skins and whatnot. But there seems to be a trend, and it's not exclusive to Ubisoft, that like, I mean, it's even a part of Destiny when we first got it, is like that they put a lot of effort into their base game, and then they have this early season pass kind of structure, and there's like almost no effort put into the initial DLCs until they're like, oh crap, our player base is starting to wane, we're going to put out a big expansion, and then that gets people back, which I don't really know if that is a... Well, obviously it's not a Ubisoft exclusive issue, but it does
It is
really
something
seem
that
to be an
Ubisoft has
issue.
suffered with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have suffered from it a lot. Because they haven't really transitioned away from the season pass model, where a lot of with like smaller DLCs, because people are more used to the like battle pass
Yeah.
scenario,
also,
which
you also have to think about
I have
that.
issues with that too.
You also think about, I think Ubisoft's most, I won't say best game, but most profitable game is probably Rainbow Six.
In terms of its longevity,
I guess,
yeah.
Let's say that Ubisoft's longest running game is Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that is a game that typically functions off of a battle pass. I think. I'm pretty sure it has some sort of battle pass. I think, and also they have seasons. They go through seasons and events and stuff like that for their content, and that is just the cycle in which they are probably the most accustomed to, because that's the thing that they know works the best. Which is really awkward because like despite what I guess popular opinion is, I think Ubisoft makes some very good single player games. Now, will I say that have like the recent ones been great? They've been okay, but like I remember Ubisoft making
I think if you take like specifically recent AC games and you kind of like separate it from the AC title, basically, I enjoy them a lot more, and I think that it might be time for them to start retiring the AC line to try and make some of these ideas into their own games, because I feel like Valhalla, Origins, like all of those newer AC ones could have been something pretty big in their own right, whether or not they continued with the same thing, or maybe they're just... Because the thing that Ubisoft, I find, is really, really good in their single-player RPGs is the fact that when it comes to historical locations, they go all out for making it as accurate as they can in terms of, like, location. And so, I don't know, I feel like that they should lean into that more, whether or not that is something that they continue in a separately named series, or have it just be, like, individual games taking place on those historical locations.
I completely would agree with that as well. I think that going again, I'm still looking at Metacritic. Like Assassin's Creed Origins, Valhalla, both still did very, very well for the most part. But I would also agree that like I think after so many Assassin's Creed games, you've played after playing like 2-3 of them, you've essentially played them all at this point. Like I think it's very difficult to iterate on a long-standing series like this, especially when you have so many you have these really, really core mechanics, and it's like it's hard to branch out of those, especially when you're going back. Like sure, you have
when you're tethering yourself to that specific title,
that route,
excuse me. There
now, am I excited for Barrage? Kinda, yeah. Mostly because I'm excited to be going back to like the Middle East in terms of location. Now, again, most of these things I don't usually enjoy. Like, I don't sit there and play them over and over and over again. It's usually just like a one and done thing. That's being said, I haven't actually completed any of the newer ones.
Same. Yeah, like
Mostly because I've been busy with
almost
other
finished
things.
Syndicate.
yeah, like the last
Um,
game I think I played was Syndicate, which was 2015.
I don't even remember. I remember playing through 1, 2, and I don't think I played through 3. And then
Don't
just
play 3.
bits
3's
here-
awful.
Bits here and there.
3's so
Yeah,
bad.
It's so
It's
the
so
best
bad. It's
version
cool.
of 3 you can't even get anymore.
Like,
and even then it was bad.
I will say
Yeah.
3's pretty cool in the fact that like some of the action shots of
It's
like
Civil War,
of doing
yeah.
stuff is cool, but it narratively it's so bad.
4 I played the crap out of.
Yeah.
4 I loved.
You
I
play.
didn't play
I
that
even
one.
You
I even
didn't
read
play
the
4?
novel.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like 4?
Yeah.
To be fair, the
I'm not
controls
a
were a
big
little clunky.
ship combat person.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. The nail
And-
combat.
You must
It's
not
a
be
huge
excited
problem.
That's
for
fine. That's fair.
Skull and Bones then.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But like,
Nah.
no, you play Assassin's Creed Black Flag because you're like, cool, I get to be a pirate, and then you keep playing Black Flag, not for anything else, solely just so you can sail your ship and you listen to your crew sing sea shanties for the entire time. That is all you do in Black
That wasn't
Flag.
a draw for
and then-
me, which sucks because like
What
so
the
many people,
fuck?
so many people that I know, they're like, oh man, I love Assassin's
They're
Creed, and I'm like,
so
what's your favorite
good.
Assassin's Creed? And they're like, Black Flag, and I was like, God damn it,
And
I just want somebody to
bet
say
you-
anything
I
before
fucking
4.
bet you when you ask them
To
what
be
did
fair-
they like about Black Flag, I bet you they all
It's
said
always the
sea
shit.
shit. Exactly.
Always.
My
Exactly.
absolute favorite Assassin's Creed will forever and always be 1.
I
It
did like
set
one
everything up. Like, sure, like I didn't
It's the
like Ezio
best
as much
story.
as everybody glorified Ezio. It's
Or
just like,
it's the-
okay, yeah, we get it. We had a whole bunch of time with Ezio.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, I get it. But it's overdone, I feel like
It's
in
the best
sense of-
story. It's the best like version of the concept of using
Yeah,
the
but,
animus,
like,
but the worst
people-
controls.
Yeah.
Yeah, people milk it so much though, Ezio's story. And it's like, yeah, his story is great, but
I think Ezio's
Let's
story.
move on now.
I think Ezio's story should have been 2 games. It should have been Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
That's
and then
where...
Revelations.
No.
No. Hold on. Shush. No
let him
Ezio,
finish.
and it just be another Altair game.
Yes, please,
Fine.
thank
Yeah,
you. I
fine.
miss Altair.
That's fine.
Holy
That's
crap.
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I love
I would have taken that.
And it's not Ezio having the revelations. It's Desmond having the revelations.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Would
so much better.
I would have taken that. I would have taken that.
Because Brotherhood is my favorite game. I think
Brotherhood's-
it's the most
yeah.
feature complete.
It
And
feels
of them
the
all
most
working
fleshed
together.
out. Yeah, it's the most
Because
fleshed out.
Revelations added too much shit that was dumb. Like the grenade crafting and all of the other item crafting. Like I'm that's not a draw for me, and I know that's a draw for a lot of people, but it was also so early in that kind of like, we're gonna add crafting into all of our games.
Yeah.
Like and
yeah, that was a really big phase for game creators.
and it was
Really
really
long.
frustrating because I do not enjoy that style, especially the early iterations where
great,
it was
no.
super clunky.
Let's see.
But so here's the thing for me, and one of the other reasons that I didn't like Black Flag is, it didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. It's not that like I had a hard time being like, why am I'm a pirate? Like,
mean, that's-
I'm not an assassin. I'm a pirate.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Just
so-
make a pirate game, you know?
Yeah, and
like,
that's something I agree with what I was saying earlier. It's like
Mhm.
they could have done a little bit more by maybe moving away from the Assassin's Creed title and
Absolutely.
core concepts in that sense. But I also think that Edward's story in general was supposed to be he stumbled into all of
Yeah.
it. He was not
Right.
recruited like our previous protagonists or part of a family that was generationally a part of the Assassins. He literally just stumbled on it. But I think the thing that hurt me most about that story was that his son later on, and I think this was in the book after that was like a direct sequel or whatever, his son becomes a Templar.
Yeah.
is that what Rogue
like-
is?
No, it's.
I don't think so. No, Rogue is
So
French.
4 is
colonial
technically a prequel to 3. because
Yeah.
because
Technically.
Edward's
All the stuff
son,
that happens in 3
yeah, Edward's
is
son
because of Edward's son.
Yeah, becomes the main antagonist in 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
Edward's son is Hatham?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hatham Kenway, yeah.
Oh.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, okay, that's cool.
Which, yeah, it's cool. And it's like, but I would say that your argument of being
Still
like,
annoying.
it's not like you didn't feel like an assassin. In my head, I'm like, yeah, duh. That's like the whole plot of Black Flag. That's literally the whole plot.
Granted, I will say that they don't make that clear super early from what I remember.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like you're suddenly there and you're suddenly killing people in the way that an assassin would. Like, how did he even get the knife and everything? And you're just left with a lot of these questions initially, and like, if you don't stick with it like Hex did, or it basically what I'm trying to say is that it would be very, very easy for somebody to be like, well, I don't feel like they're ever going to explain that, and that's a deal breaker for me. So
it's one of those things where they wanted to craft a story, like an interesting story, because from what I've heard, it has a really interesting and engaging gameplay and story narrative, like that they mesh very well together. But like, as a person who likes the traditional Assassin's Creed and kind of expecting them to like just hold off for X amount of hours of gameplay to encounter that is
and then have it just be immediate.
It's not that I don't like payoff eventually, but when for at least for me, it's like I have an idea of what I'm getting into, and that's completely thrown out the window. And for something that was like seemingly kind of cheap, it's like you're Edward at the very outset, and you're like on this island. Like, I think you washed up on this island, or you were marooned on this island, and there was just a dead assassin there, and you grab his clothes. I was like, that's super lame.
Yeah.
But, like, if it goes further than that, that's cool. I just, like, that wasn't a really good way of establishing.
Yeah, that's fair.
The new
that
status.
you were eventually going to get.
If I remember correctly,
that,
I think the whole, like, the way that they sort of get you farther into the establishing is, I think it's Edward's first mate, Otawame. I think that's what his name is. Yeah, the first mate. The first mate joins the assassins properly.
Yeah.
And it's like their whole back and forth of like, well, what do you like so much about the assassins? And it's like, well, I like, they stand for this, and I appreciate that, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, I liked the fact that like Edward uses it as his justification to like be a pirate, and Otawame's like, that's not how this works. But at the same time, you're not wrong. And we hate it.
There is a lot of conflict there because like eventually Otawame takes Edward to one of the islands where the assassins are located. And I remember vaguely, and again, I haven't played this for freaking years, so I could be wrong on this, but I do remember like the head of that clan of assassins or whatever they call it was like, why would you do that? He's not even an assassin properly. And gets really really mad, and a bunch of other stuff happens. And
I think what also another thing about Assassin's Creed just as a whole in general is it's the same thing that I've talked to you about this with WoW, is that I'm tired of being told the same overarching problem over and over again, and I just want to see resolution now. Of like, you have the conflict of the Templars and the Assassins, and there's always a conflict, and they've been conflicting for millennia now, and I'm over it. Like, put me in the present, do stuff here, and let's just solve this now. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, and that's another thing is I feel like a lot of the initial like things like the Apple of Eden because that was a real big mystery in 1.
That was really
Like that
interesting.
kind of stuff just stopped. It felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was-
well, they killed Desmond, and they were like, "All right, we're done."
Yeah, and now it's like and now it's like I think at that point it'd been like if they had wrapped it up in another game, then it'd be like, oh, that's awesome, that's great. But then now you just keep going, and it's just like
Yeah, and I think that might have been
the
the
mystery is
initial
expired.
idea, but I don't know in what manner, whether that was just people from higher up was all like, okay, well now
yeah.
we're still going to connect our new game to the same title because we don't expect it to do well otherwise. And now I think it's a habit, and
Yeah.
I think that even if developers wanted to move away from that, I'm not exactly sure the company would let them.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's a bunch of
Again, this
hands
is totally
in the jar.
speculation.
Yeah.
Please don't take my job. I love working there.
Same.
In regards to like the overarching narrative, like, and how it just completely got cut off from all of that, like, what were they called? The like precursor beings.
Oh,
'Cause they were like basically gods who
Yeah,
had
they were,
created
like,
humanity.
oh,
They literally had Adam and Eve
yeah.
and all of this stuff.
I think I want to
I
say
don't- I don't
say they're
remember.
called
The
like
name
the
of their-
Prometheans is what I want to say.
Something like that.
That's Halo.
Fuck.
But I mean, anyway,
Yeah,
like
something like
they
that,
they were that progenitor like
Yeah.
race, and so once Assassin's Creed 3 ended, they for the most part just completely wiped all of that away in regards to the story in the games, and then they continued in like the
Isu.
comics
It's
and the
called
books.
Isu.
I assume.
Okay.
Isu.
So I didn't play Unity because that game got hit with a lot of issues. Like out of the gate, it was a launch title for the Xbox One, and it didn't
Was it
go
really?
well. There were a whole bunch of it would like launch title. It came out almost like right when the PS4 or the Xbox One came out.
Oh wow.
It was really early in the life cycle,
Oh yeah.
so
2014. Oh my.
it didn't have a whole
I
lot
didn't
going
play-
for it.
Yeah, I didn't play that either. Huh.
But I played Syndicate, and I was like, all right, like hopefully I don't have to know anything about Unity, and I can go into Syndicate. And I was just like, this is a really cool game. I like some of the changes in the combat system, but I was like, how does this tie to anything that I have played previously?
Guess what?
And
it
I
doesn't.
still have no idea. I was
It
like,
essentially
how are these
doesn't.
guys assassins? What it like? They're just assassins, and they're just fighting the Templars. And like after my big draw from Assassin's Creed 1 was that it was like a retelling of historical events.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I liked
That was
the like
what mainly
seeking
drew
out the
me as
all of the
Pieces of the apple that you had to put together.
well, and your assassination targets
Mm,
were like historical figures that were killed or died in you know
Yeah.
various different ways, and I was like, that's really fucking cool. And then Assassin's Creed 2 was like, and your best friend is Leonardo da Vinci, and I was like, oh no.
But it's awesome though.
I did like Leonardo's depiction in
But
2.
it's so
though.
cool.
I remember
It's so
having
dope.
fun with that.
Yeah.
It was
it's like,
really
it's so
good, but
dope.
it kind of created a trend of like, all right, we're going to use a popular historical character and kind of bastardize them a little bit more than like they probably would have been. Like, granted, we don't know what these people were actually like, but at least in terms of making some of these historical figures villains, it's a little bit easier to change things. It was just odd to have him be this like super plucky sidekick, and I'm like, it's weird. Like narratively, it worked. It's like he's an inventor, he's a genius, and he created all of a bunch of this gear for Ezio. It was cool, and then there was even like practical applications of all of his like his tank design, his like glider, and all of that. That was cool. I just think that like Assassin's Creed 1 did a better job of tying those into the narrative a little bit better and making him less hokey. Because Syndicate had the man who invented the telephone.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah, it had Alexander Graham Bell in it, and he was just there. He didn't do anything. And if I remember correctly, like there was a part of the narrative that was like the twins actually came up with the idea, and he just like put it into real world application. And I was like, that's kind of dumb. It wasn't so much of like
I feel like they'd be better off doing that with freaking electricity.
Yeah.
I think Edison was in it too, but I could be wrong because obviously a Syndicate took place in London, and Edison was from America. But
Yeah.
I thought that Edison was in it.
Visited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got to a point where
Edison
some of those
stole
like
from Nikola
Tesla and
I will say
so many
I will
other
say
smarter
that, like,
people.
I think out of all the I think I do like Syndicate a lot. I did like Syndicate a whole lot, and I think I liked it so much because I liked the fact that it was disconnected from the overarching idea of Assassin's Creed as a whole. Like, I think Syndicate, out of all the Assassin's Creeds that I played, felt like a game that wasn't Assassin's Creed. It just had the name of Assassin's Creed on it.
That's the direction that the series started to take.
Yeah.
Which was a bit refreshing at first, but
At
now
first,
it's just
yeah.
kind of like, okay, when are you gonna wind this down and start making these into their own
Just
games?
have it just
Yeah.
be their own.
When are you just gonna make a dope Viking game or a dope Greek
Yeah. Who?
adventure game? Like, god
Yeah,
damn it,
like-
give me more Greek games.
Yeah.
Action RPGs, come on, man.
Yeah.
They're
I was
so
gonna say, I was
good.
like, I remember when For Honor came out. I was like super excited about For Honor. And then I found out that it was like solely PvP, and I'm like, I'm significantly less
it's-
interested in For Honor now.
The idea behind it of
Same.
like warriors from different eras sounds so cool.
Yeah. I'm like just
But
brawling it out.
I
It's
don't
so
care
awesome.
about like mostly one-on-one slow ass PvP. Just does not sound fun.
Yeah.
But like throw Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla and Mirage and the new Japanese game and all of these warriors together into a new game, and don't call it Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
That would be really fun.
I think Ubisoft's big problem is that they need more original IPs. I think that's what it is. Which
Yeah,
is scary.
they're so
making new IPs
scared
is scary.
of
It's
making new
real.
IPs.
They're real scary. It's a lot of
Hopefully,
risk.
this is why I hope Skull and Bones comes out well, because it is not attached to the Assassin's Creed name. It was spawned from basically the ship combat on Black Flag, according to what I know. That was the initial idea for it. Was just like, people like this so much, why don't we try something about making it into its own game? And it's since gone through so many different iterations. But I sincerely hope that when it releases here soon, it does super well.
Yeah.
Enough to maybe make them realize that they can succeed in new things without tying it to their previous IPs.
Yeah, I think I'm allowed to say this now because it's been long enough. But when we did an event.
They made Red Steel, dude.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't know what that is.
it's a great game.
But Esper and I, we did an event for Skull and Bones way back when it was like early in its development. And I personally loved it. I had a great time playing. It was actually really, really fun. I was like similarly, I wasn't a big fan of the naval combat in 4. After playing 3, it was definitely better than that. But like playing on Skull and Bones and like having actual ship to ship naval combat and like doing that kind of stuff, it was super fun. It was very exciting. It felt like really cool, and like the demo that I played they were like a bunch of really cool locations, and like you could just go and explore anywhere that you really wanted to for the most part.
One big open map.
Yeah, it was just like one giant open map,
But
which was
at
really
the same
awesome.
time, I don't know exactly how much we can actually talk about this.
Yeah.
Even if.
Yeah, that's true. But like, yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it was very, very fun. So I'm also looking forward to it. But I say this as a compliment, because it's gonna probably sound a little insulting, but I think if like Skull and Bones, at least from the demo that I played, which again was very, very early, and you know the promotion stuff that has come out over time, Skull and Bones is just a more realistic version of oh, I'm blanking on the name. What's the Sea of Thieves?
Pirate game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. It's a more realistic version of that. And depending on how you feel about Sea of Thieves, that could either be a compliment or an insult. But I think I have very high hopes for it, for the most part.
I think at that point too, you also really have to kind of ask yourself, what can they do with a pirate game? You know, in the sense of you're expecting to be a pirate in a pirate game, and there's a limited amount of ways you can make that happen.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if it has fun multiplayer, I might actually be interested. It looks cool.
It's cool
visually.
Yeah, it was really. Again, not sure how much we can talk about it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And as a multiplayer game, I think a lot of cool stuff can happen. Like, I know that
Even
I know
solo.
a lot of people when Sea of Thieves came out, people had a lot of time with with Skull and Bones when that originally came, or Sea of Thieves when it came out. I will say that Skull and Bones will probably be a game that like you sort of have to make your own goals for a little bit. Like, sure, there are things that you can like go do and stuff, I'm sure. But it is definitely one of those games where it's like you get together with your friends and it's like, all right, what's our objective? Let's go
get
do
revenge
something.
on the ships that destroyed us, whether that be NPCs or other players.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna go. Like, we have a list. Like, here's our agenda. This is what we're doing. And we're going. So I do have high hopes for it. Since we were on the topic of Ubisoft still, let's keep talking more about the stuff that Ubisoft came out with. I'm looking at.
Okay, yeah. So specifically, Mirage is it's connected to Valhalla, in that the main character is going to be the assassin Basim. Yeah, Basim Ibn Ishaq. Basically, it's going back to his youth in Baghdad. And again, I haven't played that far into Valhalla yet, so I'm not exactly sure who this character is. But that's exciting. I think it's always interesting to have something directly connected to characters that we've seen before in that way. But the one that interests me a little bit more is Codename Red, which is the Japanese one.
I'm so excited.
Feudal Japan. It's supposed to be the next mainline flagship title. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's the same studio that did Odyssey, so it is the same team that did Odyssey.
It also says that Ubisoft is partnering with Netflix to create a live-action adaptation of Assassin's Creed.
No, don't do that.
But it's with Netflix though. Netflix makes cool stuff. So like, it's got
the
a
movie
chance.
itself was already.
The movie itself's not good. We'll talk about the movie.
There's also a concert. There's also a podcast that'll be coming out.
Are they
on
all
some
Are they all
webtoons.
Assassin's Creed related?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus
This is all
Christ.
Assassin's Creed related. It's the series' 15th anniversary, so there will be a symphonic concert
fair
happening. There's a podcast called Echoes of History, which I think is primarily talking about like the historical research that they've done for Assassin's Creed, maybe.
That's cool.
At least based off the title. And then there's also a new novel that's coming out, as well as some Black Flag webtoons.
That's
But
cool.
that's still not even all, because in addition to Codename Red, they've also announced Codename Hex,
Yep.
which is like supposed to be witch hunty and horror based, which will be interesting.
That sounds cool. I kind of I would hope to be like based around like, I don't know, like the Salem witch trials or something like that. That would be interesting.
Maybe something. This one's being developed by Ubisoft Montreal, which is where Assassin's Creed initially start.
Yep.
And it has a teaser trailer out, but I haven't seen it. So, but then after that, there is Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, which is set in ancient China. It's going to be an open world mobile game, featuring all the iconic Assassin's Creed gameplay, but optimized for an experience with touch controls.
Weird.
Which I'm not too exactly happy
Yeah,
about, mostly
I'm
because I
not-
don't particularly enjoy mobile games for RPGs such as this.
No.
Just free world
Uh,
mobile, free world mobile game sounds kind of oxymoronic to me.
I feel like if they did it for something that's more like mobile consoles, as in like the Steam Deck or
Yeah, the
Nintendo Switch,
Switch.
that would have translated a little bit better rather
Yeah.
than mobile phones, because I don't know anybody that likes to play hours and hours and hours of mobile games like
Yeah.
that, unless it's like my grandmother.
Yeah,
Well,
especially
outside
when you're,
of
like,
outside of Japan and Korea,
Hmm.
yeah,
which it's huge there, but is that really
well, that's
the
'cause they have
market
better
for
technology
Assassin's
than
Creed?
us. They have
Yeah,
nicer things there.
To be fair, it is a Chinese-based one, so it'll
Yeah.
probably catch some attention with
So yeah,
Chinese
Yeah.
audiences.
yeah.
Um,
That being said, like,
which is to be expected.
yeah,
But
another thing is that like, for games like Assassin's Creed, Skull and Bones, they depict very realistic or very real environments and events. So it is awkward to think that like on a mobile platform, even just on mobile or Switch or anything or something, or like Steam Deck or something like that, like in my opinion, I feel like games like that don't do well on mobile platforms, and it's just because of the quality that you get out of it. So like Switch, you have lower quality just naturally because of lower hardware. You have higher hardware limitations, and like I feel like having a mobile, especially when it's described as a AAA RPG action adventure mobile game set in China, like no matter how good of a game that game could be or will be, I feel like it's still gonna fall flat because of hardware limitations, unfortunately, and that is unfortunate to say the least.
well, and one of my biggest gripes with doing graphics heavy games on the phone is that it heats up your phone
Yeah.
so much, and then it starts draining the battery, of course. But I'm not exactly sure what to expect from the gameplay because of that. Because
Yeah.
I feel like people are only going to be able to play in short bursts if that's the case.
That's how it was when I
And-
was playing the Deer Reincarnation.
Yeah, and that's the same
Great
exact thing.
game.
My phone would get so hot,
Mhm.
and it's to the point where I stopped playing because I'm like, I don't want to sit here staring at my tiny screen when I have my custom built PC right in front of me.
Yeah. I tried to run it on the BlueStacks. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think.
It basically just
One of the
allows you to
emulators.
use the Google Play store and emulate mobile games. And I don't know if it was my computer that was an issue or just the level of demand that specifically Near Reincarnation had inside of BlueStacks, but it didn't run well. And I was like, there's no way that my computer can't run this game. So why?
I feel like it might not be well optimized either.
Oh yeah, probably
If
not.
that's the case, because there is absolutely no reason that better hardware should have that much issue with it.
I just it's frustrating that games cannot be just released all over the place.
Yeah.
On many different consoles or platforms or whatever, because like there's Brave Exvius, which is a Square Enix game, which is also a mobile primarily a mobile based game on Steam. So why can we not get some of these other mobile titles on Steam or PC or like whatever, you know? There's the frickin' Final Fantasy First Soldier or whatever. It's
the first
soldier. The Battle Royale game, which I was like, I would never play this, except for the fact that it has Final Fantasy VII in it, and I was actually gonna try it out, and then they were like mobile only, and then it released, and I had no idea because it was a mobile only game. And I can't imagine that the player base in the US is very high for a mobile-only Final Fantasy VII skinned Battle Royale game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't understand what the idea behind that was, especially not releasing it to multiple platforms. That just seems like shooting yourself in the foot. Near Reincarnation is so good. Like, it's really fun. It's an interesting story, and I don't think of a lot of people, unless you are a real diehard Nier fan, and you have like a second phone that you can just plug in, because otherwise your battery is gone.
Yep.
And like Esprit was saying, if you have like a cooler or something, or you have some way to not have to worry about your device overheating,
heatsink phone case,
then I don't see people getting to enjoy that game or a lot of mobile games. I understand that the market is different in different regions of the world, but maybe rethink some of that. Or ports.
Not much control we have over a French company, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, no.
I don't know. Is France big into is the European market big into mobile games?
Possibly.
No clue, honestly.
Who knows? You apparently we can only speculate, but I mean Ubisoft knows something that we don't, so
I guess.
Shrug. But all right. So let's move on to some other stuff. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, starring Rayman, new DLC. That's, cool. I played the original Mario plus Rabbids. It was very fun. It was a very fun, kid game. I remember my biggest memories from that game, though, showcase how stupid I am. Because I'm not good at turn-based strategy games. I'm so bad at
Are you not excited for the new one that's coming out?
What, the Sparks of Hope one?
Yeah.
No, I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for it. It's just one of the things where it's like, I'm just stupid. I'm just dumb. Like my biggest problem with Mario plus Rabbids is my own intellect, in the fact that I streamed this, so you can watch this on. I have this on VODs, but I'll make the stupidest mistakes, and I'll try to aim my blaster at an enemy, and it's like, oh, I'm actually out of range. All right, well, I'll move this way. Oh, actually, I fucked myself, because not only am I still out of range, but I also can't I might be in range, but I can't attack, and now I'm in range for them because I can't move backwards, and it's just it's cool, but at the same time, I'm like, I might be too dumb for this game. Truly.
I don't have an issue with it looks really fun. I like these strategy games, but they play to another issue that I have with the Ubisoft approach I mean, and it's most of these giant companies, and it goes back to like oversaturating with like Assassin's Creed, like we were talking about. In I don't understand why Rabbids is the property that they are pushing so hard.
It's because of the minions.
I get it. Like Rabbids, when it came out, was super popular. Wii game,
Raving Rabbids,
was crazy popular. But
I think that technically, isn't it E? Rated E?
I think so. Yeah.
So it's they're basically their kids game.
Yeah, it's their kid stuff.
Yeah,
/
right. I mean,
friendly.
But Rayman is too.
But,
and it's like, and so
I keep forgetting that's technically a crossover, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rayman is or the Rabbids are from the Rayman universe.
Yeah.
And so Rayman is historically a platforming game, like, and like he has an incredible amount of popularity, and so is Mario. Why are those two guys not joining up? Just because there's
they are now because he's literally going to be in DLC.
He's a DLC character. Why is the
I have no
main
idea
character?
that very well could have been something that Nintendo requested.
Could be a Nintendo thing, but
probably.
I would also venture it's because the reason that because so here's the thing is that the Rabbids originated from Rayman, right? Problem with Rayman is that, don't get me wrong, you and I, we love Rayman. Rayman's our homie. But, like, the general population, they don't know who Rayman is. And they couldn't care less about who Rayman is. And I'm with you. I get it. But, like, the rabbits are these cute, dopey rabbits. Cute, quote-unquote, dopey rabbits. That, like, they appeal to children, and it's the same reason of why the fuck are we getting a fourth Minions movie? Like,
right.
That child money.
Yeah, it's that child money. That sounds wrong. That sounds bad. We shouldn't say that.
There are more Rabbids games than there are Rayman games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because kids.
I don't even think anybody really knows what Rayman is anymore.
Yeah. I will admit, I would love another Rayman game. I would love a 3D Rayman game. That would be dope as hell.
There was one.
Well, another one. I want another one. I don't want the old one. Give me a new one.
I mean, to be honest, though, Origins and Legends are the two best Rayman games.
Yeah. I think Legends is the one that I'm thinking of.
It's the most recent one.
Yeah.
And the most recent one that you played on stream.
Yes, I love that game. That game's awesome. That game's so fun.
But my problem is with the Rabbids thing. Like I was saying, it's just like you would think that you would put the two platform mascots in together. Yeah. And I mean, and Esprit was probably correct.
For crossovers. Let's be real here. Mario's a little bit of a slut for crossovers. Like,
I mean, I think that Esprit's right. In Nintendo probably didn't want Rayman competing with Mario.
Probably.
Like, not that he necessarily would.
Look, Mario's already got to compete with Sonic.
Probably like, hey, but
I think
Mario's definitely won that fight.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what happened. I think this is my theory, all right? My theory is that Mario did a crossover with Sonic, because Nintendo was like, Sonic, like, we can beat Sonic, that's fine. And then Sonic got real popular again very fast, like he does, because that's his job. And then Nintendo was like, shit, we can't make the same mistake and we can't make Rayman popular like we did with Sonic. So when we make the crossover with Ubisoft, we're going to use the Rabbids instead. Because it deflects from the Rayman. That's my theory.
This is entertaining. Keep going.
I could see that.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it.
But now I just want to see them do more crossovers with like Splinter Cell.
It's just dying franchises.
Well, yeah, like revitalize some of these, because like I want to see another Splinter Cell game. I want to see another Prince of Persia game. But I mean, which is kind of counterintuitive to what we were talking about in like
Wait, hold on.
going away from some of these legacy titles.
Small tangent. Have you
There's a
ever
Lego
seen
Prince of Persia
the
game?
Prince of Persia movie?
Yeah, it was actually really interesting.
It was.
It
Really
wasn't good,
It wasn't great,
but I liked it.
I will admit, my favorite and least favorite part of the Prince of Persia movie is the ending, because it's basically the ending of the movie. Spoiler alert: everything that happens in the movie didn't actually happen. It's like it's like a parallel timeline that is depicted within the sands in the dagger. And at the end of the movie, it like zooms out to be he's back at like the original opening scene. He's got the dagger in his hand, and like I think the ending and like the movie cuts out there. It's my least favorite, but also the coolest part of the movie. Of like, whoa, like this weird, like crazy Inception moment of the movie, and it's like, oh, awesome, but at the same time, nothing actually happened in the movie. This is bullshit.
The worst part of the movie was that Jake Gyllenhaal played it someone from Persia. That was the worst.
But he did a
part.
pretty good job. He did a pretty decent job.
He did a fine job, but like
I think that's more on the people who hired the actors.
yeah, sure. I mean, yeah. Also, the fact that they gave him a name.
Yeah. That being said, I've actually never played a single Prince of Persia game.
You should.
Oh
They're
man,
fun.
I need to replay it. I had the OG on a disc. Way back when my old laptop still had a disk drive.
So I actually went out of my way to try and get. The PS3 had those really cool collections of legacy PS2 games that they would put on to HD collections in like 2-in-1 collections or 3 or 4, whatever. They did it with Killzone and God of War, and they did it with Prince of Persia. And I bought it, and I like. It was a whole thing. I got it on eBay. I bought it for like $30. The guy sent it to me, and he sent me a copy of Gran Turismo 5. I was like, fuck. Are you serious?
What?
So he refunded it to me, refunded me my money, and he's like, you can keep the game. And then, so I had to buy another copy, and I sat down and I played it, and I was like, all right, yeah, this is basically what I remember. It's old and janky, and it's super fun.
Yep.
It's super fucked on the PS3 version for some reason. The audio doesn't exist. Like there's no way to adjust the any of the dialogue and the sound effects or the music. And the music is incredibly loud and plays over the incredibly quiet dialogue. And then at a certain point, the music just stopped.
You got to the end of the track?
Awesome.
Yeah. And it never started up again.
He's just gone forever.
And I was like maybe
silence.
a quarter of the way into the game. No, I just stopped playing.
I think at that point you're just like, okay, I bought the game, emulating it now.
Yeah, that was the route that I was taking. Fantastic. Also, all of the Prince of Persia games, or at least the 3D ones, are on Steam, and that was the route that I took.
Oh, yeah. I forgot
about that. And they were supposed to be remastering the Sands of Time game, which is the first 3D one.
Yep.
But it got delayed like indefinitely.
I remember at one
last year.
point, I think it was the Assassin's Creed Origins launch event that I was working way back in Yield of 2017.
Ooh.
There was a dev there to like oversee and whatnot. If anybody had any super specific questions, they were there for that. Otherwise, they didn't really interfere with demoists. But he was in my section, and I remember asking him about like the stuff that he'd previously worked on and whatnot. And he had worked on Black Flag and everything. And I also remember just being a little cheeky and being like, what do you think of all the people that are trying to get you guys to do, like, would you ever do another Prince of Persia game? He just laughed at me really hard and was like, that's not happening.
Oh no!
It was like
It's so sad.
That breaks my heart.
That's so sad.
I would be the person to ask if they're ever going to do another Splinter Cell game, and I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That being
Cell.
said, Splinter Cell needed to die. It got real bad. I love it, and Sam Fisher's really cool. And honestly, like the first 3 games are so great.
I forget exactly which one it was, but it was the one I think that introduced land death matches. Like or
that was
death
Pandora
matches.
Tomorrow.
What's that?
That was the second game.
Yeah, because like I remember my cousin's older half brother had a PlayStation 1 and a bunch of PlayStation 1 games, and like he would sit there and play like Resident Evil original and whatnot, and we'd just watch him. But eventually one day we picked out one of the like Splinter Cell games, whatever that was, and we just started playing like I think it was a deathmatch. So we'd just go around killing each other, you know, doing the usual
pretty fun.
blaming. Oh, you were looking at my screen. And
Classic.
this is like one of the earliest memories I have of like gaming. Like I don't even think I was in school yet. That's how young I was.
Damn. I honestly, like, if you look at it, it just looks like GoldenEye. It's very similar to GoldenEye in its like perspective. Like the field of view was really wide because they were using that aspect ratio. I think Pandora Tomorrow utilized the 16:9 aspect ratio, which wasn't super common on all PS2 games.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty interesting, but and unfortunately that's the one that most people forget because the next one that came out was Chaos Theory, and everyone's like, yeah, no, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is the best Splinter Cell game. To be fair, it is, but no one ever talks about Pandora Tomorrow. And it had that dope land stuff. It had a first-person shooter.
Speaking of Splinter Cell and Prince of Persia, actually, I do want to say so. I do want to move on a little bit. Another thing that Ubisoft announced is to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of Ubisoft Plus, players can get Ubisoft Plus multi-access for free on PC, Stadia, and Amazon until October 10th, which is like their subscription for their back catalog, to which Prince of Persia is on there. Prince of Persia is on there. I think Splinter Cell is also on there as well. So that's, cool and all. It's one of those things where it's like, I hate that companies do this, but at the same time I like that they do it, but I hate that it's behind a paywall. And it's that stark reminder of this is the world that we live in, where everything is a subscription, and it's like, ugh. I don't want to have to pay a subscription for the games that I want to play, or for the old games that I want to play. But the company's like, you're gonna do it, you dirty slut, and I'm like, you're right. I'll bend over now. So
the only way that I am paying for the Nintendo expansion is when they add Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, which seems like it's coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Yeah. And like that being said, since I've never played a Splinter Cell game, and I've never played a Prince of Persia game, it's like this offer actually feels somewhat tempting because there's just so many games I'm like, yeah, I've never played them. They're $10 on there originally, and I'm like, I could just pay the subscription and do it. Like,
do it, play them, and then after you're done, just unsubscribe.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that these were on the other Xbox Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing, because like
I wish there was just more things on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
I understand, like it's the stream wars, but with video games all over again. Whereas
at this point, streaming services have basically recreated cable television.
Yeah, which
just
is
without the contracts.
Yeah,
which is frustrating because it's like I wish that there was one service that I could pay to that I could do all of these games. And obviously that's not going to work, and obviously that's never going to happen, but it sucks because like Xbox Game Pass actually great. PlayStation what's their fucking, or they don't have it anymore, but it's their streaming service. That they had if you wanted to stream the PS3 games.
Oh.
That they wrapped up into PS Plus now.
It's like PS Plus Premium, something like that.
Yeah, but the streaming aspect sucks, and that's why Game Pass is actually really good because you can just download the games.
Yeah, I think it's literally PS Plus Premium.
They give you a discount if you want to buy them, which is also really cool.
Yeah,
I don't like shelling out or for not shelling out. I don't like being a simp for game companies or anything.
I don't like the games that if I pay for a subscription and it's like, all right, cool. I don't like that I'm being held hostage to play my games. That's my biggest problem with subscriptions. Is that because that's the same with Adobe. Adobe has a stock video service, and I think they actually changed it recently. But it used to be you would pay X price for basically 10 allotments or like keys essentially per month, and whatever keys you don't use would just roll over to the next month. So if you let's say you paid 3 months worth, you have 30 keys to use whatever you want on their stock site. Originally it used to be if you canceled your subscription, you still have those 30 keys because you paid for them, you paid the subscription. But now it's I actually went to go cancel my subscription a couple months ago. Now, if you cancel your subscription, those keys that have rolled over are gone, and you can't use them ever. If you cancel the subscription,
pretty standard, I think.
Yeah, but Adobe has changed it now, and so now my keys are essentially held hostage, and I either have to use them all if I want to cancel my subscription, or I just lose them if I cancel. And I'm like, well, I don't want to lose the value of the things, but at the same time, I have nothing to spend them on right now. And it's the same. It's the problem with that's the problem with a lot of these subscription services is that yeah, sure, you can use our service, but if you cancel, you won't be able to access them, and that fucking blows. So I do like the fact that Ubisoft gives you that power of yeah, you can subscribe. If you want to buy them, you can just buy them. That's cool, and then whatever. But that does feel bad overall. Moving on, segue. The Division. New Division season. I haven't played Division in such a long time, and it breaks my heart because I love the Division.
A new season in the Division 2?
Yeah, new season in Division 2.
That game is still going?
That game is still going. Again, breaks my heart because I love Division 2. I love the Division.
I mean, it was fun.
It was cool. I will say the Division 2 is nowhere near as good as the Division 1. Playing the original Division was actually dope as hell. Because it had a bunch of it's the same problem with Destiny. Of Destiny 1 had all these really cool side things and cool activities that you can go do, and then Destiny 2 doesn't have any of the fun stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Cause you say that so depressingly. You say that so defeated. But original Division had game modes that were multiplayer, but because nobody played it, everyone stopped playing it. I couldn't really play them myself. But they had a battle royale battle royale mode essentially, where it's I think Division 1 takes place in Manhattan, and I think Division 2 takes place in DC. But Division 1 takes place in Manhattan. And it's in winter in Manhattan. And it's the battle royale mode was dope as shit because what it was all the players would drop in random places on the map, but it's in the middle of a blizzard. So 1, you can't see jack all, and then 2, you have to scrounge for, resources, guns, armor, all that stuff. At the same time, because it's a blizzard and it's winter, you have to, like, stay indoors and, like, find heat sources so you don't freeze to death. So you're, like, constantly losing health and, like, trying to survive in that aspect.
Battling the elements.
And, you're battling the elements and you're battling people. So it was, like, a really awesome, really cool concept. So that doesn't exist.
PvPvE.
Yeah.
I think is what they call that.
Yeah, that doesn't exist in Division 2. There also was, like, a roguelike dungeon crawling mode, whereas, like, you would explore the subway tunnels of New York. And you would, like, come into different, like, access tunnels, basically. And each access tunnel either had, like, enemies that spawned. It was very roguelike in how you do it. And you would keep going until you hit, like, the main boss area room and stuff like that. And you'd get, like, you can, like, put different modifiers on and stuff like that to get better loot out of it. Which was, like, again, super awesome concept for the Division. And it was, like, 1 to 4. It was, like, you could have, like, a party of 4 players and, like, go in and do this roguelike game mode and stuff like that. Also, not in the Division 2. And then there was another one. There was another mode in Division that I can't remember off the top of my head. But those are the 2 big ones that, like, I wanted to play. But again, nobody was playing the Division anymore. So then I just didn't get to play them. And then Division 2 came out and I'm like, oh, nice. They'll put those same things back into the Division 2, right? Right?
I actually was... You and I started Division 2.
Yep.
Together a long time ago.
Yep.
I was 110% down to, like, play through that whole game. But I took, like, a break for 2 or 3 days, and then you beat the game without me.
Because it's short!
And I was like...
The game's so short!
I guess I'm not gonna play it
The game.
anymore.
I was down to play it again, but the game's so fucking short. The game's also so goddamn short. You beat it in, like, a couple... You can literally beat it in a couple hours. It's not even hard either.
So, okay. Did you guys play and/or beat any of the Watch Dogs games?
Yes.
Did you enjoy
I
it?
played it. I have not beat them.
Yes, I loved 1 and 2.
Really?
I've not played
I
1
am
and 2.
shocked.
I've only played Legion a little bit.
What, the shock that I love them, or the shock that I played them?
I'm shocked that you love them.
Dude, they're
because,
great. They're so cool. They're so cool. They're such cool
They're
games.
really boring.
What? No, you're wrong.
Yeah,
No,
no.
you're boring.
No.
You're boring. Fuck
it's-
you. This is a personal attack. Go fuck yourself.
It's just a really, like, it's a really weird take on open world, like, Grand Theft Auto design, trying to cater to a millennial audience, and it does not work well. The concept was cool for the first game of, like, you're a hacker guy and you can hack anything, but his characterization was just nothing. He had no personality.
That's fair enough.
And at least in the second game, they tried to give you, like, a group of people who all had this common goal of, like, taking down this like corporate structure. But every one of the characters was just a caricature of
very
some millennial
very,
trend.
Yeah, very, very stereotypical. Yeah, I will say that I think 2 could have been better if it played similar to Legion, because with 1 was Watch Dogs 1 is whatever. Watch Dogs 1 is, I like it because it was a fresh thing of, like, oh cool, you, like, you can hack anything, and, like, you do all these things through technology and hacking and whatnot. I was like, that was cool. That was really cool. 2, I think, should have been like Legion in the fact that you had all these characters, and sure, they were all very stereotypical and, like, they were caricatures of these different trends, but like if you got to play as them, you only got to play, I think, as I think even just only one character, I think, and at the very end of the game for like a mission, or it was like a handful of missions. It was like 5 missions. You got to play as all the different side characters because they were helping the main character like bust out of prison or something like that. I think if they had made more missions and had more moments of like, oh yeah, you have the main character, but all these side characters actually, do stuff, and like you get to play as them and contribute. I think it would have been a much better game, similar to Legion, which gives you the access of like, oh, anyone can be a hacker. You can play as anybody. It's like, that's a cool concept. Should have been a little bit earlier.
It's kind of sad looking at the reception of Legion, because it is not good.
I agree. I have Legion. I've played a little bit of it, not much, but like I liked Legion. I thought it was a cool thing. I think it's an awesome concept.
It was neat. It was neat, but it's short. It's extremely short, and for the initial thing you could do, because a lot of the focus there was on literally being able to play as anybody you choose. Like, anybody you walk past, you can take control of that character, and play as them. But as a result, they're really like, you remember the demo we did for it way back when?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that was it. That was the entire game.
Oh, was it really?
Very nearly, according to another person who did more of the demo than we did.
Rough. Yeah, that's rough.
It's just a long proof of concept for
Basically,
a franchise that is probably not going forward anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. Yeah, which is sad, because again, I love that series. I think it's a cool concept, but like, it's unfortunate that all the pieces for like a really awesome game are all in different games. Like, if they just take those pieces and put them all together, they probably would get there. But
sure,
they're not.
Like, I mean, the other thing you also have to realize is just trying to, as a game dev, you don't exactly have those choices because of where your funding is coming from.
Yeah.
Among other things. Like, you could even tell them, it's like, oh, like, we came across this really, like, game-breaking bug, and we're having to put all of our energy now into fixing that before we even move forward with our, like, ending stuff. And they're going to be like, well, sorry, we already announced the date. We can't be flexible on when it's going to release. Is an example I tend to, like, use, you know?
That's so frustrating that level of crunch, I guess, is put onto people just because they're like, well, we're gonna release it on this day, and it's like, but we're not done, dude.
Yet.
Yeah, and
so either it's gonna come out broken, or it's not gonna have an end, or whatever.
And that's part of the reason why I'm just like, it's ultimately just, it's coding.
Mm-hmm.
And literally anything can happen in a code. Like, you can literally have a bug that is caused by this tiny little thing that you're only ever going to see after combing through it for about 50 hours with a fine-tooth comb, and then realizing it was something really, really, really obvious or really, really dumb that you just, I don't know, forgot to spell something correctly or used a different name for a different thing.
Did you hear about when Aliens Colonial Marines came out and how it was just completely fucked because none of the it was super hyped up. Like, Sega was publishing it, and back when they still did that, and I think it was Gearbox was developing it, and they were developing it at the same time that they were developing Borderlands 2, and that became a whole thing. They were actually siphoning money off of the development budget for Colonial Marines to make Borderlands 2. Anyway, The aliens in that were completely bugged. There was like no direction for them. They would just go in random areas.
Yeah, you were
all
telling me
because
that.
of one letter of code.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
this.
Like there was a misplaced A.
Yep.
And then one person I'm assuming on PC was going through the code, Steam. And then they deleted it.
Yeah,
and they're like,
they fixed it.
"Oh, I
and then
fixed the game."
Yeah, and it just became it was like night and day difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not what they had announced because there was that whole, the industry was making these overly beautiful trailers that were not representative of the final game. So, that was an issue, but it was like, hey, the game's actually playable now based on one piece of code. And it was because, it wasn't because of a shortened development cycle. It was because of a lack of attention to the game that they were actually developing. But that's a whole other thing. But it does kind of fall in that realm of, I don't understand why.
Of it being a lot more delicate and the other thing is when you're building a whole bunch of systems that are so thoroughly interconnected, if the documentation for that isn't kept on top of, it's very easy to lose track of how things interact in a way that if you do need to change something in order to fix another thing, you could collapse the entire house of cards. Right. And then you have hundreds of other fires to put out.
I mean, yeah, you don't know when something is going to, like you said, collapse. Yeah. You can be right near the end, and you're, on target to hit your deadline, and then one thing goes wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting optimization either.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or ports.
Yeah. Or ports. I can't even imagine how you start by creating a port of something. Granted, I have never gotten super far in or super deep into the world of coding and whatnot, but
yeah, translating one piece of software to a completely different piece of hardware. It's the same game, but
technically it would be developed in a different way too. Whether I don't know if that would make sense in, the syntax of the language that you'd be using would change at all or anything. Because in that sense, it'd be like learning an entire new language and trying to translate your book that you just wrote into that language properly.
Yeah. You have to hope that there are enough similarities between the two that it's essentially plug and play, but it's almost never that. It's definitely gotten that way as time has gone on, but translating something from the PS2 to the Xbox was so hard because the PlayStation engine or the PS2 engine was notoriously difficult to work with, as well as the Xbox, because the Xbox is just an old Windows XP computer.
Oh yeah, yep.
And the PS2 is just a dedicated console.
Yeah.
With a DVD player in it, which didn't exist on PCs. So it would have the fact that it happened is amazing.
Speaking of PS2, I saw on TikTok it was have you ever heard of the PSX?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know about what a PSX was. And for those of you listening at home, a PSX is essentially a PlayStation 1 with a built-in DVD, VHS or VCR built into it, essentially, is what it is. It was only released in Japan.
Yeah.
But apparently...
Still get them.
Yeah, for the PSX, though, there was a DJ game that came out with it, or that came out on it. And it was literally like a it was like a virtual DJ game. But it wasn't Parappa the Rapper. I'm blanking on what it was called again. I think it was literally called Beat Mania, I think is what it is. Yeah, it was Beat Mania, and it was a DJ simulation game, and it came with its own like DJ disc peripheral thing, similar to like DJ Hero and stuff like that. It was shocking. I saw it on TikTok, and I was like, "This is fucking blowing my mind right now." But
What the hell? Okay, I'm looking at the PSX right now. So they were produced until 2005.
wow, that's actually surprising.
They had 160 gigabyte hard drives
160 gigs?
as well as a
Yeah.
250 gig.
Holy Christ.
This is a PlayStation
This was early
1.
2000s.
Yep.
They-
When
because-
floppy disks ruled.
What the Christ?
I mean, it was built for recording, so
Dude.
like.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it ran PS1 and PS2 games.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But and it automatically like was compatible with the HDD like and that's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Writable and it had writable disc formats for all DVDs. Man, it wrote on DVDs too. That's like the crazy thing. It burned discs.
You could still use that thing today.
Yeah.
And it would
It
actually be pretty
be
decent.
fine. Yeah.
It
Let's
probably
see.
would work well too.
Dude.
So, you definitely know what you're gonna be doing on your next trip to Japan.
Yeah, dude, this thing sounds dope as
Oh
hell.
wow.
This thing sounds dope as shit.
So when it released, at least the 250 gigabyte version was 88,800 yen, which now is $623.
That's honestly, that's not nearly as expensive as I thought it would be.
I mean, if you're counting the storage capacity for the time,
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
biggest one.
it's probably the biggest contributor to the price.
Yeah.
It looks like you can get one on eBay for about $500.
Hey, that's $100 cheaper.
That is
That's not bad.
wow.
That's not that bad. All right.
Some of these are parts only though.
All right. Going back to
Ooh, there.
Ubisoft again. Just Dance 2023 edition. Neat. I've noticed that. So going through these announcements, I've noticed that Ubisoft is a company that very much caters to the casual gamer market. Sure,
Very much. Yeah.
all developers do that, but like Ubisoft specifically is like the casual gamer market, and I think Ubisoft needs to step it up. I think Ubisoft needs to be a little bit more elitist, and cater more
Wow.
to the hardcore gamer market more. I
I
think they
think
need to
they
be a
need
little
to
bit
be.
more
Rainbow
elitist.
Six Siege.
They got
I think they
Siege.
need to be less accessible.
That's a better word for it. I think they need to be less accessible. That's a better word for it. Speaking of Siege,
Like
Okay, I disagree with this on the basis of disabled gamers still like to game, man.
no.
Even the
not
blind ones.
that
Okay.
kind of accessibility.
Yeah.
Not that kind. That's fine.
In the idea of god, what was it? There was a meme that came out for Elden Ring, because it had a very minimal approach to its HUD. Because if I remember correctly, when you're not walking, like when you're basically just walking around and not in combat, most of the HUD actually disappears. I could be incorrect on that, but even then, it's mostly just your health bar and like your item menu.
Yeah.
It's that way for most Dark Souls games anyway. There's only a handful of things that you even have to look at because the main draw is what's in front of you.
Right.
Whereas mostly Ubisoft games, or just more open world games in general, just give you sensory overload in terms of like, these are all of your objectives and go here and here's like 50 bajillion waypoints and then all of these little like pickups on your map.
Okay, that's how I felt when I played
to the
Inquisition
point where you
earlier.
stop kind of caring.
Right. You get so
Desensitized?
yeah,
Yes.
you get so desensitized to it and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound fun.
I feel like a lot of it should have maybe less of like immediate being like, oh, it's here. Like these are all the places on the map. Just like don't show them. Let me discover them, and have it be an option to like get a map or whatever that would show me all those locations if I really, really wanted to. You know?
Yeah. I'm telling you, Ubisoft needs to stop catering to the casual gamer and be more elitist. Make the assumption that your players know how to play a video game. Sure, you can give them some tutorials, but more elitism.
I think that Elden Ring is actually kind of that perfect example of it. All things considered, outside of a handful of bosses, Elden Ring is actually extremely accessible. People just are kind of turned away by it's a FromSoft game, it's gonna be hard, and it's like it is difficult, but there are so many things in Elden Ring that makes it so much easier to get through than any other Souls-like game or like FromSoft Souls title. There are ways to make it so much easier for yourself. So you can have a challenging game, but there are a whole lot of mechanics that allow you to play it really how you want. You can make it challenging for yourself, but it's not inherently hand-holdy like most of these open world games tend to be.
And I think that's like the flimsy argument for a lot of elitist like FromSoft players is that like, oh, you have all these options, like it makes it too easy. It's like, well, they're options. That's the point of them. You don't have to use them.
I mean, I've honestly found that with Kingdom Hearts players. A lot of Kingdom Hearts players are very like kind of gatekeepy about it. They're like, oh well, if you abuse this system, then you're just lame. And it's like, but if it works,
I will go on record and say for Kingdom Hearts 2, I 100% abused the what is it? I think it was the Metal or Fenrir, I think is what the Keyblade was for
the negative combo.
Yeah, that one I think.
Because it lowered the amount of it got you to your finisher faster. Essentially,
and I did that
for
the
more damage faster.
For the Undying Spirit, I think is what it is. Terra's armor.
Lingering Will.
That's it. Yep. 100%.
Yeah, you did the cheese.
I cheesed that fight 100%. And I have no regrets. I have zero regrets on that.
But Kingdom Hearts 2 is actually an interesting example because it is an extremely accessible game, and it does cater to a wide audience, but it does have many layers of complexity in it that you can make the game difficult for yourself and challenging. Where I think a lot of, like Watch Dogs, how do you make that game hard for yourself? How do you...
I mean, I haven't really played it as something that I would just go to play as it being hard, you know?
No. You're playing it for the story and the experience. And
but if I wanted a more difficult experience, how would I do that?
Yeah, because... I don't know, comparing it to Grand Theft Auto, there are ways that Grand Theft Auto can be played that Watch Dogs can't. I can't really come up with...
I mean, I haven't played 1 and 2. I've only played Legion. And in that game, because you have access to so many different characters, essentially, to pick and choose and decide which ones you want to play, I would probably make it so that like I can only play with the person that I start out with, and if they like get sent to jail or whatever, then it's game over. You know? It would be stuff like that, those kinds of challenges that you'd make up for yourself rather than something you can do solely within game mechanics.
Yeah, I will admit that for the original Watch Dogs, for 1 and 2, trying to make it more difficult for yourself is easier, but also harder in this vein of a lot of the missions for, at least for 2, because it's the one I remember the most clearly, at least for a lot of for 2, as you get farther into the game, the whole point is to utilize all the different tools that you have to, you know, get to your objective. So I mean, yeah, you can make
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood does that exact same thing.
Yeah, so like to make it harder, you could always just be like, oh, I'm just not gonna use, you know, this specific tool, or I'm not gonna use these. I had to figure something else out. But at the same time, I think for a lot of sandbox games, that isn't necessarily the objective.
No.
And I think you're asking the wrong question. Of instead of asking how do I make this harder, it's how do I make this more interesting,
more engaging, and more like less. Not necessarily like saying, not making it challenging, making it engaging, and making it less that it plays itself.
Yeah, but I will also
That's
say that
the
like,
issue.
but I will also say that like asking that question is a little bit flawed because it's a sandbox game. Like, you know what a sandbox is. It's what you make of it. It's kind of just what it is what it is. It's not meant to be necessarily more challenging or more engaging. It's, you know, meant to just be enjoyed. Of like, oh yeah. Here you go, jump in, do fun little stuff, and then be like, all right, I'm gonna do something else now. I think going back to just Ubisoft in general, I think Ubisoft also has the double-edged sword of their games are fun, their games are really enjoyable, but they're not very memorable sometimes. Like, I think a lot of the games that they make are again, they're very, very fun, and like you play them and you're like, yeah, this was cool, but you're not I think a lot of times you're not gonna just be like, oh yeah, I remember when I played this or when I played that or like this moment here. Like, they don't really stick in your mind like specific, like they're not really specific moments. They're just like vague recollections of like, oh yeah, I played Black Flag, and you know the sea shanties were cool. I don't remember much else, but that's it. And I think, unfortunately, Ubisoft has it's that double-edged sword of like, you have this really fun game, but it's generically fun.
Yeah, there isn't enough standout substance in either its material, its overall material, in its specific storyline, or its gameplay.
Yeah, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. I think
it's too broad.
Yeah, and again, it's fine. That's totally fine. You know, whatever makes the money, it's whatever. I will say that like, it would be nice if they closed their scope a little bit and, you know, added more polish to, you know, if like the new Assassin's Creed game, they added more polish to that, more depth. You know, I think that could be a real banger. And even with you know their recurring games like Rainbow Six Siege, you know, I bet if they tightened their scope a little bit more and didn't branch out as much as they already do, I think and really focus on, you know, the stuff that they're already doing, I think they could really outshine a lot better. Speaking of Siege, it's coming to mobile, which I don't play Siege. I don't play Siege.
I have a buddy who does.
But
he plays it a lot.
I mean, like, it's a popular game. I won't discount that. I just don't know if it would be good on mobile. Like, it's...
Is it the whole main game?
So
or is it a spin-off?
Rainbow Six Mobile.
Oh no, it just says Rainbow Six Mobile.
Free-to-play mobile games looking for players to close beta. I can only assume that it's like Siege, though, is the thing. Yeah. Rainbow Six Mobile will have 5v5 matches, crossplay, and voice chat for iOS and Android devices. So it's like Siege, but mobile. It's like Wild Rift for League.
Wait. Extraction is out.
Yeah, Extraction's been out since like February, I think.
What's Extraction?
It's another tactical multiplayer shooter game.
Kinda, yeah. Basically, it's a PvE game where you play basically waves.
Right, Rainbow Six Extraction. Oh, it's out. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, we gotta play this.
It's been out since February or March.
January 20th.
To be fair, I've been really distracted. Dude, we gotta play this. This game's so fun.
It is.
We have to play this so bad. This game's so fun, actually.
Oh, it has procedurally generated.
Yeah.
Objectives and enemies.
It's awesome. It's super hard, by the way.
I
don't know
you
if
just
they've.
suck.
Okay.
But let her finish, because she was about to say something really funny.
I disagree. It's not super hard. You just suck.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
Rude.
I agree.
All right. Rude to both of you. Anyways, still, regardless, awesome game. We need to play this game. It's awesome. So fun. See, again, that's
something that you can play with your friends.
Yeah,
like you literally just grab and you can play it solo to make it super hard on yourself. But otherwise you can play it with friends and just have fun digging around.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, because Extraction used to be just it used to be like an event mode in Siege, but then they took it and made an actual game out of it, and they tightened their scope. They centered and they really paid attention to the details. And like Ubisoft's good on details. I like if nothing else, that's it. If nothing else, like Ubisoft's great on details. And then like this is the shit that like they can pump these things out if they tighten their scope a little bit more. They can make games like Extraction. Cuz Extraction's awesome.
Extraction is not on Steam. That's a feels
No,
bad.
it would be only on the Ubisoft, I think. Ubi Connect.
Feels bad.
You know what is a game that we definitely need to go back to? That kind of ticks some of those boxes is GTFO.
Yeah. GTFO is also awesome. That's a good game.
I also don't know if it actually has multiplayer or like added. I'm assuming it does.
Yeah, it does.
Now. Okay, because it didn't when we played it.
Yeah, it does. It has multiplayer.
Or like, sorry, matchmaking. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Extraction, Metacritic apparently is not a fan. But I will go on record and say that most of those people probably playing it are probably comparing it to Siege, and they're wrong.
Yeah,
they're not the same.
And I'm pretty sure that was the issue because it's based on. It uses the Siege engine.
Yeah.
Well, it uses all the Siege characters.
It's based on a parallel. Yeah, it's based on a parallel Siege universe, but it's not Siege. And I don't know.
Most of their audience would have been people.
I don't know
if
I'm allowed to say this, but I will say it anyways because it's just a really funny story. I did a demo for this, and all the people that we had play this demo were all Siege like players, like Siege content creators, pro players. Like they lived, breathed, and ate Siege, and they were all very bad at this game. But it's primarily because they treated it like Siege. Because this game is all about like sneaking around and like being stealthy.
You have to go in.
Didn't do that. Mindset. They would sprint. They would dive. They would like just openly shoot enemies and like alert them. They failed missions constantly. It was awesome. It was so fun to watch. And they're just like, yeah, this game's like super hard. I'm like, it's not. You're just making it a lot harder for yourself. But this is fine. It was awesome.
Which is hilarious.
It was hilarious. It was so great. It was
it's hilarious because you're saying that.
Yeah. Look, I think it's hard because you have to be smart. You have to be tactical. We all know that I'm not a very tactical person.
The deluxe edition is $50.
But regardless, Extraction's awesome. Highly recommend Extraction.
Cosmetics.
Anyone who says that it's a bad game is just bad at playing Extraction. Anyways, Rainbow Six Mobile though, going back to this real quick. While I wish it the best, I don't think it'll do very well on mobile. Just because I don't think a for FPS shooter on mobile is just the way to go. It's just not. And that's where I'm at.
I have never understood shooters on mobile devices.
Makes no sense.
Not even just phones, but like the Game Boy Advance or the Nintendo DS. Like they
had FPSs.
They had dinky little ports, not real ports, but they had Call of Duties on.
They had Call of Duties?
They had
Really?
a Call of Duty.
No way.
They're
Uh-huh.
significantly
played them.
stripped back.
Yeah, they have next to nothing to do with, like, it's not retelling the story. It's a whole other thing. DS games.
Huh.
So
What the?
I've played a-
this looks like trash.
it's really bad.
This
Yeah, so they
looks
had
so
Modern Warfare,
bad.
they had World at War, they had
Oh,
Modern Warfare Mobilized, which was basically their down port of Modern Warfare 2. They had one for Black Ops and then Modern Warfare 3. I played Call
Surprisingly,
of Duty.
Metacritic, Modern Warfare did pretty okay. Got 75 on Metacritic. That's not that bad.
I'm trying to
Hilarious.
remember.
It makes me laugh though that like, so they got a 75 on Metacritic, B+ on 1UP, 6 out of 10 Eurogamer, GameSpot 7 out of 10, Nintendo World Report 9 out of 10. Hells yeah.
So
They're not biased at all.
you aim with the stylus.
Gross.
Ew.
It's
That's
not
actually just
good.
gross in general.
It's really bad.
Now, to be fair, that time was a really, really weird time
Was
of
a
trying
weird
to be
time.
like, we
Yeah.
have this touch screen.
Yeah.
How do we make use of it?
The real answer was you don't.
Yeah.
Like that. All of the best. Okay, not all, but most of the best DS games had minimal use of actually
Oh, yeah.
using the touch screen,
Oh, yeah.
of having it be like, this is your mini map, or this is, where a lot of the text dialogue is gonna go.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, not actively,
I
like,
think-
the best example on the opposite end is The World Ends With You, that actually utilized the touchscreen extremely well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And I
utilized
think
both
part of it-
screens extremely well.
I think part of that was just because touchscreen really wasn't an everyday thing like it is now
Yeah.
as well. So it was just experimenting
Yeah. I will say
in
that.
ways that weren't necessarily
Yeah.
didn't work out well.
Yeah. I will say that one of the most unique ways that the DS was utilized was it was a game called, oh god, I think it was called like Escape Memory, I think is what it was called, or something like that. It was like here it is. Trace Memory is what it's called. It's called Trace Memory. It was like an anime mystery puzzle game where there was like a puzzle that you had to do was you had these like in the game you had these wood block stamps, and you had to like somehow put the stamp on paper in order to like figure what the stamp was about. And what you had to do was you'd like lay the paper out and you put the stamp on the paper, and then in order to put the pressure on the stamp, you would literally close your DS and then open it back up, and that simulated the pressure of putting it on the stamp, and that's how you like solve the puzzle. It was one of like the most clever uses of utilizing the DS as a whole.
Which game was that again?
Trace Memory.
It doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, it was a
Oh, and
very
then-
like niche game.
The Wario game
Yep.
too.
WarioWare.
That was also a really good one.
WarioWare is
WarioWare
great.
did a
They've
great
always
job.
managed to use every aspect of a game,
Yep.
like a console's like weird, quirky mechanisms or hardware.
The gimmicks.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of the
Yep.
gimmicks. WarioWare has always
Yeah.
been so good at that.
Yeah. Backtracking
This
to World
game
Ends
looks
with You.
weird.
Which game?
Trace Memory.
Yeah, it was like a weird anime game.
It looks like a Suda51 game.
Yeah, it was
Visually.
it was a weird anime game. It was cool. It was really cool. I actually kind of want to replay it again because I don't think I ever really beat it. I think there are like multiple endings, and I always got like the shitty ending because I wasn't smart. But going back to World Ends with You right quick, I actually I just read an article on Twitter, and it was talking about how, it was titled like why Neo the World Ends with You is like the best game, but nobody talks about it, and it goes back to my belief of The World Ends with You is just such a great cult classic game, honestly, and unfortunately people just don't play it. But at the same time, it sucks.
Switch version sucks.
And that's exactly it. It's like you didn't play on the DS. Good luck trying to find it on the DS, and good luck trying to play it on DS because if you play it on Switch, it's dog shit. And honestly, it should have just gotten a PS4 remaster somehow. They should have just taken all the time they needed to make it work, and that's what it should have done. And it's feels bad.
Really, The World Ends with You is really cheap
On what?
on DS.
I mean, sure, I'm sure it is, but like, you now have to.
All I'm saying is I'm shocked it is as cheap as it is, considering that most people know that this is the best version of it.
Yeah.
And it's older. Like it's a DS game.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe it was just saturated with copies.
Maybe.
That's a good thing because fucking I don't know if you guys have seen the prices of older Pokemon games, but they're insane.
insanity.
Most places sell Emerald for like $80.
Holy Christ.
Just the cartridge.
Jesus.
The World Ends with You, I'm seeing some for like 20 to nothing has been higher than $50.
I think the real challenge is finding a DS. I think that's the
Just
real
use a
challenge.
3DS. You are not going to be another
That
fucking person
is
who
fair
tells me that Otto
I honestly
is
forgot
convinced-
that 3DS existed.
Otto was convinced
I
that the
actually
3DS does
forgot.
not play DS games, and I'm like, no,
It does.
they do.
It totally does.
That's how I played a bunch
That's-
of DS games.
That's how I'm
The 3DS.
playing.
Yeah.
Goddamn. That's how I'm playing. Goddamn. Hold on, I had to look this up because I don't want to be wrong.
That's how I played Platinum, and how I replayed
That's how I fucking played
3 5
Platinum.
over 2 days.
Yeah, I'm playing fucking black I'm playing fucking black or white version, white 2, on my 3DS. Like, what the fuck? Otto's full of shit.
He probably I don't know what he tried and why it didn't work for him, but a complete Neanderthal move.
I
on that one.
100%. I 100%. I just played Platinum like 3 months ago on my 3DS.
I'm gonna pick one of these up. A copy of The World Ends with You.
It's a great game. It's a fantastic game. It's
I
dope as hell.
really want to play it. I really want to play it, but I am not
AF
playing
game. It's so good.
the Switch version.
Honestly,
We need to get away from
not
this
only
gimmicky ass.
not only is the Switch version terrible, it's also I would argue too easy in comparison to the DS version. The DS version is
Really?
so much harder to play, not just like difficulty wise, but just gameplay wise, because not only do you have to use the stylus to like make your psychs or for your pins and whatever, and that's the bottom screen because that's where Neku is, but his partner is on the top screen and they have to fight a separate enemies as well, and they all have different mechanics, and they usually utilize like the D-pad, and they all had a different gimmick for the partners for their mechanics, because like I think Shiki's was you matched shapes, and that's how you did like the combos to fight enemies. And then Joshua's was it was all number based. You had to like do addition, and you'd have to like follow the tree to form a sum basically, and that also translated to his attacks. And it's a whole fucking thing. And like the Switch version made it so much easier because it's like, oh, your partner just fights automatically. No. DS, you had to control 2 players at the same time, and they shared a health bar, and it was chaos. It was awesome.
I am buying this.
Good.
I am buying this right now.
Absolutely, you should, because it's a fucking dope-ass game. Alright, sum up the rest of the Ubisoft announcements. Riders Republic, neat. It's Riders Republic. Cool. Honestly, I see
That's the downhill biking game, right?
I think so, yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's a nice, just chill game.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just makes... I see
can
Riders Republic,
appreciate
and I'm like, I definitely want to play it, but it also just makes me miss playing SSX. I just want another SSX game now.
Dude! Get another SSX game.
It's so good!
And we'll play the shit out of it.
SSX is awesome!
God.
Honestly,
You know
I
what's
could do it-
really
I
sad
could do it-
about
I could do
the
without
SSX game that you and I like?
well, okay, which one do you like is the question.
Well, we were talking the 2012
Yeah,
or 2013 one
The
that we played on
2012
Xbox.
is okay. It's okay. I
Okay.
prefer 3, personally.
Oh,
3
yeah.
is by
The
far
original
my
ones are better.
favorite SSX game.
The problem with that the newest one is soon you're not going to be able to play it. At least have any reason to play it because the 360 servers are shutting down at some point soon.
Jokes
Which
on you. I
also
played it on
means-
PS3.
Whatever. It's the same thing. Gears of War co-op is never going to be you can't play those ever again. And that makes me so I mean, unless you're playing split screen, but you and I played those Gears 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah.
It was mostly you solo cuz I missed a lot of days.
Yeah.
But, we played those all on the Xbox Live, and now they're disappearing, and that
Yeah.
makes me really sad. Game preservation is important. That's mostly what I'm getting to, is to tie it back to fucking The World Ends With You. There needs to be better ports, and game preservation
Yeah.
is very good.
Agreed.
How is there not an Assassin's Creed 1 remaster? I'd play the shit out of that.
Yes.
Because I don't know the last time any of you played the original game.
God.
It
Been ages.
It was
Well,
ages ago.
I tried playing it on PC, and it doesn't. It was at a time when you were not expected to plug in a controller. So I don't think you. I don't
That
think
game's not like
that
meant
you
to play on
can.
mouse and keyboard. I don't think.
Oh no,
Like,
no! It
that
doesn't
game's
translate well.
Super not expected.
But I plugged in a controller, and it just says press number whatever on your controller because it doesn't map it
Right.
to an Xbox controller, which is super awkward.
Interesting.
And it doesn't. It's not a 1-to-1 of all of the normal controls that it would have on the Xbox or the PlayStation.
Right.
So some of the buttons are not in the right spot, and I don't think that you can remap the controls. That is a game
Awesome.
that desperately needs a re-release and some sort of game preservation attached to it, because the 360 is turning into a retro console at this point,
So
which is really
Yeah.
weird to say.
Speaking of challenging yourselves in video games, one of the things that I love about sandbox games is that you can just go do whatever you want. Like, you can just go fuck around and just whatever. And Assassin's Creed is definitely a game that, like, I 100% would just... I'd load it up and I would just go fuck off and just do whatever I wanted. Like, one of my biggest memories is, the last, like, memory or mission, and it's you're going to confront, like, the head of the assassins people, and it's like there's that whole mob of people standing out
Gandalf?
front, like, yeah, whatever. But there's that whole mob of people just standing out front in the in like the open courtyard area. what I would do is this saying this back out of context makes it sound like I'm a crazy person. But what I would do is 100% like, because you're what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just like push yourself past all the people to get to the building, right? What I would do is I would just secretly stab each one of them and kill them, so they would. So like as I walked by, I would stab them, and then you would just see them slowly collapse behind me, and I would do that for literally every single person. And then once they were all dead, I would reload, and I just do it over and over again. It was like a weird, morbid, satisfying compilation. I just do that over and over. Yeah, it was bad. Eventually, I would get bored, and so I would just like use the throwing daggers instead, and kill them that way. It was bad. It was bad because and that was like because that's also the only game where I was like actually allowed to kill innocent people. Because you're not allowed to kill innocent people in any other games. It feels bad.
You're not supposed to kill them in the first game. You just don't get in as much trouble for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't get in trouble, though. But, like, Assassin's Creed 2, it's like you try to stab an innocent person. It's like, Ezio didn't kill innocent people. Don't do that. But, like, in Assassin's Creed 1, you just go, poke. Alright, moving on. Poke.
Altair didn't care.
Altair didn't care.
It was a different time.
It was vastly different times.
The thing that I always did, and I still always do in every Assassin's Creed, is go for all the towers first.
Oh,
so I can fill up the map.
Same. The moment I see a viewpoint, I'm like, all right, we're going there first. I don't care about anything else. Literally, I don't care if I'm following someone. I will literally break off and do it.
With the games as they progressed is that they would intentionally lock sections of those towers off for actual gameplay, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting through all the towers, I'm having fun, I can see all the objectives, and it's like, fuck, I have to play the story. God damn it!
Drove me up a fucking wall. That's the biggest problem in all. Like, I do that for every sandbox game I ever play. I always just go and like, all right, I see a vantage point, it fills out my map. All right, and I gotta do this now.
I have to engage with the game.
Bugs the hell out of me when they lock you out like that. It pisses me off so much. Fucking Final Fantasy did that for Endwalker in Thavnair, and I'm just like, I hate you so much. I hate this so much.
You know what you're doing, and it's pissing me off.
I'm so angry.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I think on that note, guys, that is going to be it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the C Plus Podcast. If you missed this will be uploaded next week on YouTube as well. So if you missed that, be sure to watch that. And as always, though, my name is Shogun Shin. That is Hex Ginkgo. This has been the C Plus Podcast.
Espert's here too.
And Espert's here too.
Hi.
Okay, look. Fine. As always,
unexpected
my name is Shogun Shin. That is Hex Ginkgo. This has been the C Plus Podcast. And thank you so much to our special guest, Esprit, for joining us on this episode. And as always, we will see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.